Good evening, everybody, and welcome to. Wait a minute. This isn't Wednesday, but welcome to Sunday Showdown, everyone. My name's Dr. Fish. I'm your op for this evening. As you see on the screen, my casters this evening also happen to be my Tavern Talk co-hosts. So, along with me for now, we have Geranium Battle. Hello, friend.
It is yeah, I wasn't there for Tavern Talk this week, so I'm glad to make it to this Tavern Talk essentially. A lot less predicting going on, a lot more what's going on in front of us. It's going to be a very hype heroes match.
Yeah, it's gonna be super hype. We've got all three remaining Hero Series matches. First matchup, as you see on the screen, is Agent PWE versus Lotus Knight. That is the 1 seed match. Following that will be the 5 seed match between Saku and Quaz, and then the final match, if we get there. Our guess is we probably will. These are two very closely matched teams. Last match will be Skittles versus your Mumked to decide
Yeah.
it all.
Yeah, both teams are tied at 6 points apiece because they both had a 2-3 match, or a match that went to game 5. So if we see any of these first two matches go to that game number 5, then we're going to go all the way and have every single match play out. But it could happen where if there's some 3-1s, maybe a sweep, then we won't actually get to that final match between the 3 seeds.
Yeah, the scenario that would have to play out there would essentially be double 3-1, or like a sweep plus any result going with the win for that same team. Currently we have Agent and Lotus Knight probably getting into their banning phase very soon. So we will get those up on screen. We will have JR joining us, JR Juggerlaw joining us in a little bit here. So I will be taking some casting reins while he is not here, but then he'll step in and he will be the other cast. He will be Geranium's co-caster for tonight.
By the way,
yeah.
I'm unsure. It's showing that we're not live right now.
Yes.
Like that time a long time ago. Oh, I'm very stupid.
10 minute,
Yeah.
10
It's
minute,
gonna be
10
broadcast.
minute delay.
Yeah, there's a.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Okay.
It happens.
Yeah.
You're not a full time cast. Yeah,
I'm very used to this
we're
being
yeah
Tavern Talk
at
when I'm on
this
show with you.
yeah at this moment into it we are probably like 5 minutes into 5 minutes into
Yeah.
everything on the thing. So yeah, we got a little bit to go. But for those who are watching, hello, and we do remember to put delay on. Hello from 10 minutes in the future.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, let's
speaking about the future, though,
run
we
through the.
still actually don't know what the bans are going to be. Agent PWE is bringing 4 classes: Hunter, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior, whereas Lotus Knight is also bringing the Rogue and the Warrior, but instead of the Hunter and the Shaman is bringing Demon Hunter and Druid.
Yeah, as someone who enjoys both Demon Hunter and Druid, I like these brings by Lotus Knight. But it's funny, these players have brought essentially like my 5 favorite classes right now in Hearthstone, and these are like what I would say probably the best, the few like best classes that we have, with a Hunter, Rogue, Shaman, Demon Hunter, Druid, Warrior. I have word. Both players are doing bans in our group chat. We have warrior bans from both players.
Ooh.
So
So that makes Druid a lot worse because the two different types of Druid are Token Druid and Clown Druid. Token Druid having just been nerfed, and Clown Druid being much better against against the Warrior that just got banned. So it sort of points to probably that is a Token Druid
it,
recently nerfed.
I mean, it still could be Jombray Druid or Owl Druid. It's a very popular deck as well. Very
Yes, the
surprising
very
when.
explosive.
Yeah.
Jombe Druid, for anyone who doesn't know, uses the 7 mana Druid Legendary that reduces all the nature spells by 2, in combination with Celestial Alignment to make
Hmm?
everything that is a nature spell cost 0, and then you just turbo through your entire deck, draw the
Ah,
Cthulhu pieces, play them.
I thought
Cthulhu.
John Boy Drew was the Malagos deck.
Malagos deck meaning using
The Malagos
the
Dispel
Malagos
Weaver.
9-drop that draws a bunch of spells.
Yeah, it runs like Umbral Owl and stuff like that. I think that's typically what it is. That I know there is Miracle Druid, which is that deck that you're talking about. But I think some versions of that deck um do run like I think some of the decks do run Anacondra, but regardless, the players do seem to probably be ready to go. Um but
Who are
yeah,
we going to be seeing on the bottom and top?
so bottom of our screen will be Lotus Knight. Top of the screen will be Agent PWA. We're gonna have some flip flopping back and forth between which players will be top and bottom for the teams. We'll get there throughout the night. Um, so yeah, we'll see which we will see.
Yeah. It's
How
also
this
going to be
plays.
interesting. So it's interesting, what type of druid is being brought. It's also going to be very interesting what type of shaman gets brought, whether it's going to be the full out aggro sort of Doomhammer shaman, or whether we're going to have a more late game focused with a large finisher elemental shaman.
All right. Well, Jr. has indeed joined the call. Hello and welcome, Jr.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, I guess we're not quite to the day of the week where we can make our hump day jokes, but that'll come in a couple of days.
I was gonna
Um,
say that show is still happening, so that's
Yeah.
definitely gonna be doable.
Yeah.
yeah, but we have the players ready. Just for you, we have Lotus. I'm gonna be spectating Lotus Knight first, and then I'll be spectating Agent PWE second. They're about to get into match one, and we have double warrior ban, and the classes are in our chat. Want to see them? Yeah, these two will take the match
I'm very
away.
curious as far as like, as someone who hasn't really been paying attention to the meta shifts within regards to THL series. I'm curious as to like what have been the big bans, the big deck brings, and so forth, because obviously the meta has shifted a bit with the recent nerfs.
Well, it seems it hasn't shifted well enough because still playing Token Druid.
Oh, yeah. I see a Gibberling in the deck. I'm very curious. I mean, I don't think Gibberling might not be that bad still. It just feels really weird to play it for 2 mana, I bet. Um so yeah, we'll see. This is Token Druid versus some form of rogue. Agent has sent me a spectator invite, so we will take that. It is Miracle. Who'da thunk it's Miracle Rogue?
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
most popular form of rogue, especially with such high quality players as these. I'm expecting both of them to have brought Miracle. Oh my god! And double bot in the Octobot in the opening hand is going to absolutely speed up Agent PWE. If he can find some of his later game pieces to just throw out there super early, this is looking pretty pretty done. Back on Lotus Knight's side, I mean, we have some of the early game tools. We have the token generator and the Glowfly Swarm. We have the Gibberling as well, even though it's going to come out one turn later. But we don't have some of the other scam cards that we're looking for. That being Arbor Up, that being Solar Eclipse, that being Pride's Fury. It looks like yeah. What we do see in hand though is 2 Swindles, which is very crazy.
Especially combined with Octobot, it's extremely powerful most of the time.
Yeah, with this 10 wheel getting discounted as well, we are going to see a lot of burst damage coming down later with Alex if Alex gets drawn.
That is obviously the plan, you know. If you're able to discount both cards or Shadow Step the Tenwu, you can obviously do double Alex Draza in one turn. But it's all gonna be dependent on what he can draw.
Lotus avoiding damaging the Octobots, saying you're gonna have to damage it yourself, and Agent PWE saying, yeah, sure, definitely. But the Arbor up draw for Lotus Knight is actually extremely important for converting the tokens that he's going to create into actual threats to get Agent PWE out of here quickly.
The question becomes, does he go for the Gibberling play and try to play everything to Arbor up now, which I think is probably the play, right? Like the Glowfly Swarm, I almost want to say play the Glowfly Swarm now, because doing this makes Glowfly Swarm a lot less powerful later. But this is probably too good of a play to pass up right now, knowing you're going against Rogue, which doesn't play any AoE, and is going to have a really hard time dealing with this board.
Yeah, it is up to the Rogue to actually find the answers to this, being that they don't have that great of removal for everything right now, especially only on 4 mana. Usually the Rogue would be using some of their better board presence that they've established, but because the Octobot got cleared, it's just not there. So we can see this Octobot come in. We can see the Swindle coming down, drawing a lot of cards. Wand Thief drawing cards, but actually finding an answer. Maybe this Wand Thief will get us there with perhaps. Well, with that trade, we can no longer get Combustion, but
take a moment to appreciate, though, how awkward this situation is for PWE, though, because he did not have an easy way of triggering any of those cards, any of those combo cards in his hand. And the worst part of it is he really had to just play the Shadow Step, not the Shadow Step, the Tenwu here, because everything else is so important to his deck that it really just kind of forced him to to take a different approach. Like he wanted to be able to trigger the Swindle, before discounting the using the Octobot to discount everything, but it just wasn't possible with that hand, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, and we're seeing so much pressure that he has to end up using the Wicked Stab 1 turn early, killing off only a 3/2 instead of the now 5/4.
And now we see Lotus Knight taking the safe approach and clearing up the board, knowing that PWE probably doesn't have any kind of easy answer, which he is correct about. He is going to be able to take out the 5/1, but that's going to be 5 damage to the face, and you could see from the board that Lotus Knight has, he is still in a very strong position.
Yeah, the earlier Archaeologist pick isn't going to have much of an impact. I mean, it's no secret. Yeah, sorry, that's just it. There's no secret in the deck. So Archaeologist not going to do anything, but Jandis is going to have some very powerful, possibly Inara to get some Wind Fury going on, just to clear board and a large taunt alongside. It's not looking like it's going to happen.
I think the only thing that could help him at all here would be Earth Elemental, and as we see, he's not getting anything of the sort. Yeah. PWE cannot do anything about this board, so he's going to concede. Token Drew taking a very solid 1-0 start.
Yeah, and Gibberling, the Gibberling there, despite the fact that it cost 1 more, actually didn't even impact the game at all, because there's no way that Lotus would have gone for that unless he had drawn that Arbor up that he had drawn only that turn. So Gibberling nerf means nothing.
I mean, as we kind of talked about on Tavern Talk earlier this week, Gibberling is still very much a valuable card. It's just not going to be one of those cards that has the win, has like those non like those games where like you can just play Gibberling, play a bunch of spells, and just like go crazy on turn 1, knowing your opponent can't really do anything about that so early.
Yeah, instead we just saw an unanswerable board on turn 4.
correct, which was still very powerful, but it obviously took a fair bit because he had to that was the result of him having both um the innervate and the lightning bloom to accelerate that. Otherwise, that would not have worked out. Like that was just very fortunate circumstances for Lotus Knight in that situation.
Yeah, off the back of a great guess the weight to draw a bunch of cards in the early game, get him all these different pieces, and then actually turbo out the answer to the rogue. So, Token Druid is going to continue high rolling, and let's see if this Hunter can stop it. Hunter used to have more of a even matchup with the Token Druid. Very interested to see how that changes going into the nerf.
I think it's pretty safe to say that the real determining factor is going to be how quickly can Token Druid get a board going. Because if it gets that wide board, then Hunter is pretty much screwed at that point. But if it's a situation where they can actually develop that, if Hunter is like just able to keep developing and Lotus Knight doesn't really have an answer with his Token Druid, that's going to be tough.
As it stands, the Glowfly Swarm's coming out maybe a little bit too late. We see the Intrepid Initiate and the Kolek out here, and they're going to get supported very well with these minion buffs from hand, like the Wriggling Horror.
I like this play a lot. He's really protecting that. Like at this point, he knows a Lunar Eclipse is going to kill one of those minions regardless of what's buffed. Might as well make the 1/2 more of a threat at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, with one more buff, then even the Eclipse is not going to fully take it out.
Wait,
Once
hold on. Lotus Knight put in a guess the weight, and he guessed it was going to be less. Damn. I guess there's not a lot of cards in his deck that are more than 2, but I was not expecting that, honestly.
No, there's quite a few that are less than 2. 2 is actually the middle number, usually.
Huh. Oh, wow.
And it looks like Lotus... I believe Lotus Knight is not running a Soul of the Forest, which means that he would not have that extra 4 as well. So definitely a earlier curve.
Yeah, and this is exactly what this basically went exactly as I described. As you mentioned, Geranium, the Glowfly Swarm seemed to come a little bit too late, and unfortunately, Lotus Knight is just not able to develop his board before before PWE is able to develop his. So Hunter takes that and ties things up 1-1.
I'll take that as a compliment. I wish I was as good as Agent PWE. Oh,
That
man.
makes 2 of us, buddy. That makes 2 of us.
Well, now the answer to this Hunter is what Lotus Knight needs to find. Is it going to be the DH, possibly a Death Rattle Demon Hunter, or is it going to be the Rogue? Hunter looks to be very good in this format, and even if Lotus has teched this Demon Hunter against the Hunter, I'm not entirely sure that it's going to really stop it. An OTKDH coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough because the OTK Demon Hunter has a bunch of tools that really help in dealing with Hunter. It's really just gonna be a question of how quickly PWE can develop momentum, and then will Lotus Knight have any kind of immediate answers to prolong the game? Because as we all know, the longer this game goes, the more it's going to favor Lotus Knight.
Well, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say with the option to take this call, maybe this wasn't the best time to play this Ildari Studies. Usually, Ildari Studies can come out at or around turn 5 to get that skull on the outcast, but now he has to take the Kurtrus Ashfallen instead and waste all these various cards on the way in order to get to the skull Gul'dan that's trapped in the middle.
Yeah, no, that's pretty fair. I think ultimately this wound up being though a tough situation. I have a feeling he's I have a feeling Lotus Knight was probably thinking, well, I don't really have much else I can do this turn, and I'm probably going to be using my other cards the other turn. So I guess he figured, let's see if the Illidari studies can make something happen for this turn, which obviously didn't really pay off, but I don't necessarily think it was detrimental either.
Another thing that might end up being a problem, not entirely sure, is just what is going to be played next turn. I guess we could see the Fell Scream Blast plus the Kurtrus and then a coin of the Skullgladon the following turn. But it's not, it doesn't have that many good options. Whatever the top deck is maybe going to just be the play from Lotus Knight. But Agent PWE with a wealth of options. The Warsong Wrangler, incredible to get the trampling Rhino. We saw a week ago that Moonfang was being run. No such Moonfang found in Agent PWE's deck. It is all business.
Moonfang
here,
was a very interesting tech, though. I know Orange was the one who really made that a thing. And I will admit, as somebody who tested that deck, it was pretty effective in certain matchups, but it does feel like maybe here you don't really need it. You don't really have to worry about playing the card without any kind of targets in your deck.
ooh, and that is a great top deck. Now able to actually clear the Mankrik alongside with the Fellscream Blast and the I-Beam. And then we can use the coin and the Skull of Gladon next turn.
It's a very good setup for sure. Obviously, you know, there is still just a matter of Lotus needing to draw those Moarg Artificers.
But it seems like he's slowed down this Hunter enough to where, I mean, yes, there is 6 damage coming in next turn, but he can possibly draw into the 2/4s so that he can then have a 0-cost 2/4 and then use Philosophy on them to really just end the game quickly. Oh yeah, Moarg Artificer right there is the draw for sure.
And as we know, OTK DH players can rely on just one, spell in order to just kill the opponent in one shot, especially if they have multiple artificers. So this is, just having that Fellscream Blast could be enough, especially combined with the talented Arcanist that is going to cause 0 thanks to the Skull. So Lotus Knight is fairly close to having that OTK ready.
I believe it actually is enough next turn, and it doesn't. It's going to do quite a lot of damage, just because of the talented Arcanist also having been drawn off of the Skull.
You're right.
Right.
Because it's going to be 3 damage to each, and then multiply that by 4. That's going to be 36 damage. Yeah, Lotus Knight has game next turn. Wow. That is... I feel for PWE. That's going to be very frustrating to watch. He did everything he could, but unfortunately, OTK Demon Hunter... It's just one of those decks that has a lot of tools at its disposal. And it's just, it can be very frustrating to play against at times.
And this Il'gynoth just being drawn so early means that the OTK is able to happen so early. We see a lot of OTK DHs fall to just not being able to draw Il'gynoth in time, but here, it's right there for Lotus Knight.
Very true. It's a deck that can be very hard to play simply because you have a lot of options at your disposal, and you have to be very careful in terms of how you choose to utilize some of those resources. Since you want to protect yourself and be able to stop your opponent's plays, but you also don't want to exhaust some key cards that are going to be part of that main combo. Like we saw here, the I-Beam and the Fellscream Blast are cards that he utilized to protect himself, but those are also part of the combo, so you do want to be mindful of how you utilize them.
Yeah, Lotus Knight's early hand was unfortunate in that he had the Fellscream Blast sort of before the Skull, so he needed to play one of his 2 Fellscream Blasts, but luckily he did end up finding the other Fellscream Blast very early, along with the Il'gynoth very early. Everything lined up perfectly.
Right. When he made that play, he knew he had the other one in hand, so it wound up working out as ideally as it could have for him. And now we've got PWE's last deck is going to be Elemental Doomhammer Shaman, it looks like, based upon the Doomhammer that we saw in his opening hand that he threw right back. I guess the big question is, do you think this deck can be aggressive enough that it can kill Lotus Knight before he starts to stabilize?
Well, it's a lot about the burst potential of this Doomhammer Shaman, and really, Lotus Knight has to keep himself above certain breakpoints throughout the entire game, and especially if he's going to be using the I-beam and maybe the War Blades a little bit more loosely, then we're going to see that his healing isn't going to be quite up to snuff, and 10, 16, 22. Those are the numbers that the Agent PWE is looking for, and that's the sort of burst rounds that he can do.
Job's done.
I mean, we see here now he's got that War Maul Challenger, which is going to be really good here because that's a 210. That's not a ton of attack, but I'm also looking at it thinking, well, Lotus Knight's going to have a really hard time getting rid of it.
Yeah, and actually this Totemic Reflection is a great pickup because it's going to buff this already very hard to remove War Maul Challenger.
Yes.
He's just being unclearable. An unclearable 412 on the board, an Elder Dragon, basically. That's just going to keep smacking Lotus Knight every single turn.
Just imagine if that Challenger was a totem.
Oh my god, don't disgust me like that.
I mean, I have to point it out. It's just, it's too fun not to bring up.
Yes, well, it's maybe possible with double Moarg that we could see the I-beam clear it, but we're actually going to see instead the Strength Totem just absolutely buffing the board. That was a very lucky totem roll.
I was going to say, I think based on the roll, that made a lot of sense. Interesting. Well, I was wondering if he was going to go for the second Philosophy over the Sigil Runner, but I guess he really just wants that draw power right now.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're just stranding this this skull in the middle of our hand, both of them. So,
well, no, now he's actually going to be able to play the skull next turn at least. So that's pretty good, but it's still going to be. It's probably going to be very important that the other Artificer is drawn from it, since he's already got one in hand now.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit worried that Lotus Knight isn't going to find the healing necessary in order to actually deal with the healing and damage necessary to use these Moarg Artificers, clear off Agent PWE's board, and not die. I mean, he did find another I-beam at least, so
yeah,
this skull
we both know he's not going to play it right now. Oh, there. Well, speak of the devil. Oh, okay. Wow.
Never mind. Wow. You can just win instead.
We speak of the devil, right?
So we don't have the Fellscream Blast, and we don't have enough to kill with I-beam.
No, I don't think so, right?
No.
Wait. Let me try to do the math for a second, because it's 1, 2, 3, 5.
It's only going to be 24.
Well, hold on, because he'd have 4 Artificers, and that would deal 3, 6, 12, 24. Okay, so it'll be very close, but not quite there.
Yeah, and it looks like he's probably not going to have enough time, actually. It's being that this Doomhammer came out.
I think what he'll probably have to do is play the Illidari studies and see what he can grab out of that. See if he can get anything. Okay, there's a... Wait.
Philosophy very good. It means that he can
that's game.
Some of these.
That's game. Oh, wait, no, it's not. I'm lying. It sets up lethal, but it's not quite... He doesn't have enough mana for it just yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Skull of Gul'dan is just in the completely wrong spot. If that Skull of Gul'dan was just a few cards over, we could see both those Moarg Artificers played from the left side of the hand, and then that I-beam would be just the right mana cost. But
goes on.
actually, no, I'm wrong. It would be one off mana anyways.
Yeah,
we need to play these Moargs. We need to, unfortunately, use some of our burst potential in order to
Oh, wow, is he actually playing the ultimate? Wait, but that's not enough. Right?
Maybe he's conceding? It's quite possibly just going to say that Agent PWE doesn't have it. He doesn't have the Rockbiter weapon, but we
he's
can see
he's
that.
just being like, I'm gonna see if he's got it. And unfortunately, as he's about to find out, PWE does have the double Rockbiter weapon. He only needed one of them, but that is going to tie it up. We find ourselves now at a game 5, everybody. Just exactly what we love to see in these playoff championship matches.
And now with this game 5 coming in, it is basically assured that we are going to see all 5 matches happening in this series. The only way that this wouldn't happen is if there is a full-on sweep by the other member of whatever team ends up winning this match right now. But now coming in, we know both decks that are coming in here. It is Lotus Knight's Rogue versus Agent PWE's Doomhammer Shaman. And will this Rogue have enough early game pressure in order to stop the minion damage and the Doomhammer damage from going face and just ending it? We'll see.
Well, actually, Geranium, this just means that there's going to be at least one more match. I think this match could still be sealed up in 4 matches. In 4 sets, I mean.
Yeah, if whoever wins this, so if Agent PWE wins this game, then if No Pros hears Quaz 3-0 sweeps Saku, then that will be the end of the series. But if there is even one win by the loser of the next set, or if the set just goes the opposite direction of this and Blast wins if No Pros here wins this one, then we are going to see that final match.
Yes, you're right. That's correct, actually. So it's very likely we'll need all matches to be played. It's just not guaranteed. But yes, it's a very important spot right now, since now no matter who wins this, it's going to be very close.
However, this hand is actually no. This hand is looking quite close. We see a lot of the card generation and the discounts happening from the Rogue, and we're seeing a lot of the power plays from the Shaman with the Arid Stormer coming out extremely early, clearing off board.
This is looking very rough for Lotus Knight right now, though. PWE has a very strong opening curve, and he can just, go crazy, do a lot of damage, and Lotus Knight is going to have a hard time dealing with this board and finding an immediate answer. He's going to Secret Passage here and see if he can get something like an Ice Lance. He gets a Wicked Stab, which... Oh, that's rough. So, I guess he'll probably... I guess if I were him, I'd probably, play the Lance on one and then Wicked Stab the 2-2. So that at least starts to stabilize things a little bit, but PWE, obviously, as we can tell from his hand, he still has a pretty good setup going right now. He's got the double dunk takes, which is a little awkward, but since he's got the Doomhammer on turn 5, that is going to make both of those extremely valuable, especially in a matchup like Rogue, where they tend to go wide a lot.
Yeah, and Rogue doesn't have the healing that they would need in this matchup. So they're not going to really be able to sustain themselves. This team is going to go down and down. And as I was saying before, the 10, 16, 22, those are the break points. And we're going to see 16 very soon, meaning only a few Rock Fighters, and that is it for Lotus Knight.
And Lotus Knight definitely getting a pretty good draw with that Og Merchant, because now he's able to play the Swindle and get maximum value off of the discounts from the Octobot.
So that is one of the ways to increase his attack in Agent PW's hand, the Storm Strike coming down. And with the Dunk Tanks in hand as well, it is definitely on Lotus Knight in order to put up the counter pressure, though I don't think it's going to be fast enough.
And we see PWE just going straight for the face to maximize damage, knowing he could potentially kill off Lotus Knight next turn. Oh, that is an awkward Jandis, unfortunately.
Yeah, and no taunt means that even with the 1 minion cleared off the board here, you can only get one more minion off of Jandis if we were to Tenwu it. So it is not enough.
Unfortunately,
here-
due to the overload, this is not going to be enough. But, you know, PWE is setting himself up for a very solid lethal going into next turn.
Yeah, there's just no way for Lotus Knight to do a counter lethal with his hand. A counterspell does end up making it so he has to use both the Stormstrike and the Dunk Tank, but that doesn't really matter. This is going to be the end of the game, and one match up for NPH going into the final two matches of Hero Grand Finals.
Shaman, unfortunately, proving to be very powerful in terms of its aggression. And, you know, you gotta feel for Lotus. He did not get a hand that was really going to be helpful to him. And Rogue tends to really struggle with Shaman because they can't keep up with the aggression, and they often don't have any ways of stopping them. So, GG's to both of these players. A very well played first match of the night overall.
And the Warrior ban was also a great selection, I think, on the part of Agent PWE, not having to face that deck that's able to more effectively take the board, protect their own life, or even use the armor up and heal a little bit, makes it so that he doesn't have to worry about that as much going into the Rogue, of course, that can't heal themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, Rogue is kind of put in an awkward spot in a lot of these aggressive matchups. It's why they tend to often struggle against. They tend to consistently struggle against decks like Hunter because they're just able to output more damage, and they don't have any heal to counterbalance it, any taunts. They have a bit more versatility as far as removal goes, but that only tends to go so far in terms of slowing down the bleeding, as they say.
Yeah, I agree. I've been listening the whole time. You guys
Wait,
have made
Fish is
excellent
here?
points. Excellent points. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
But
Tavern Talk crew.
Agent
I'm kidding, obviously.
has agreed to do an interview, so I'm adding him in now. We do have some time. Hello, Agent. Welcome.
Mr. PWE.
Hello.
Hello. Well,
So does PWE stand for Player Wins Everything?
I think so.
Yep.
I think we've made
figured
that
it
joke
out.
already, but yes, it does.
But
Oops.
anyway, first off, congratulations on winning a very swingy match. Like, most of the games weren't super close. I think the closest one was the game that Demon Hunter won against the Hunter. But I think Hero is still kind of proving to be very swing heavy.
I just find it
type of
particularly interesting.
series. What are your thoughts on that, Agent?
I think before this week they weren't usually that bad, but with no priest and no warrior and both warriors being banned, I think it was basically all aggro decks that I was playing, and so when I had a good hand, it wasn't close. And then same with Lotus, when he had a good hand and good draws, the game was just over. There wasn't really much room for it being close.
Yeah. And obviously let's not. I don't want to let that take away any bit from your victory. So
It was just a very well played match by both sides.
yeah.
I think all of you. It felt like every single game you all were doing the best you could given the circumstances. Like the games you lost, obviously, you know, part of that came down to some unfortunate RNG. But part of it was also, you know, you were doing the best you could. You know, like with the Demon Hunter matchup, Lotus did have it did have what he needed. You really did try to play the best you could, play as aggressively as you could with Hunter. But it didn't quite work out, unfortunately, due to the nature of those very swingy matchups. But you know, when it came to the Shaman, obviously, you really put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my Portal RNG for summoning a 110 is
against Demon Hunter. Yeah.
Oh,
against
yeah.
Demon
Well,
Hunter. Which
I do
then,
have a question about that. If you hadn't rolled the attack boosting totem, would you have played the totemic reflection on
N-
the
yes,
210? Okay.
yes. I would have cast it only on the strength totem, and naturally I rolled the strength totem
Yeah,
again. So
because just built different. But
I'm
that
just
was, I
built
mean, that was a great
exactly.
roll. Um,
I mean, it was a great choice because you
yeah,
basically told yourself, "Hey, I've got two options at my disposal, both of which are extremely helpful. So here's a card that's going to be good for me no matter what." And you also took that knowing full well that 210 was going to stick around. You knew there was
Yeah,
no way Lotus Knight was going to be able to deal with that right then and there.
the poor draws against the Demon Hunter that game were made up for by the strength totems and the summons. I would, I was Lotus said he was 1 mana off of killing me as Demon Hunter,
he
so
was. Yeah,
it's
He
I
was
needed all the
actually,
damage that I
yes.
had.
yeah. I mean, there was maybe another line where he could have tried to survive to get to the Fell Scream.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have Fell Scream in hand.
Right.
But or maybe he didn't, just couldn't play it. But either way, I
No,
don't know,
no,
maybe
he
there was
only
like a
had the
line
eye.
where he heals to try and survive more, but I don't think he had that much mana to do it. So I think he like played it as best he could and just kind of hoped you didn't have it, which sometimes you just have to do in Hearthstone.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
But
Speaking of not being able to deal with it, we saw in this match the rogue just wasn't able to deal with the pure aggression on either side. Do you still defend the choice of bringing rogue?
Well, when I played Rogue, I did not know what his Druid was, which was very bad. Until he played the Gibberlings and made a full board on turn 4.
mhm,
That was when I realized it was Token Druid. I would have played it much differently.
yes,
I threw both the Octos out. I was afraid of him playing like a Lake Thresher and giving it Rush or something, and then getting
mm,
completely destroyed.
yeah,
So I kind of hedged for that, and then it
mhm.
ended up being very bad for me. And I think the Rogue just got high rolled both games that it got played. The draws were insane, more or less, not insane, but above the average. So Rogue's probably not the best, and it doesn't really counter anything. But I didn't want to bring Priest, and so the other options were few.
Yeah, we thank you for not bringing priest.
We thank you more than words can
I think
words can be used,
I
honestly.
think your team also will thank you for that because after the priest nerfs. So yeah, obviously thank you for being willing to do an interview. Your teammate Quaz and Saku are both ready to go. Um, so um, we have a couple more matches left to decide who's gonna win this, and obviously I know who you're pulling for.
Yeah,
Um,
yep,
and
goes
so
without saying.
yep. I mean,
Actually,
MPH is close, but I mean, Blast
before we
isn't out.
before we let you go, though, I actually do want to know. There's two different NPH players in the last match, possibly.
This is
Is it
true.
now Skittles, your teammate from long ago? Are you still going to just root for your team no matter what, or do you want to see Skittles have some good games?
Oh no, I want to see Skittles get destroyed.
I mean,
That
that's fair because I mean, all is fair in love and war,
actually,
and this is
actually, I'd
war.
love to see Skittles not play because we'd already won. But
Yeah.
um, if I
Right.
do see him, I'd like to see him get destroyed.
I mean, it'll be interesting if Saku manages to pull off the win. Then obviously, you guys are. Then obviously it'll come down to Skittles versus your mum kid. But if Saku loses and just gets at least one game, then it's just going to be winner take all.
Yeah,
We're
I think
hoping not for that, but
yeah,
out of my hands now. So
Actually,
exactly. Yeah, you
wait a
did your
second.
point.
Hold
You
on.
did your part,
If
agent.
actually, no, wait. If Quaz sweeps Saku,
Yeah, it's over.
no,
Yeah,
it wouldn't
Yep.
be over.
how?
it's
Because
over.
even if no, because if then Skittles beats your mum kid 3-2, it would be a tie, and then the winner would go to the team with the most match wins.
I think
Y-
we're up 10-8 right now.
You're up
or we
10 to
should be
8,
up
but
10 to 8.
they also have 2 match wins. So if Quaz won with that, then
Well, wait, hold on. Am I doing the math?
Yeah,
no,
if
Sorry,
Qua- I
sorry,
think
Yeah.
sorry. If
I think if
Saku,
Quaz
I'm
wins
sorry.
at all.
If Saku sweeps Quaz is what I meant, because Blast is down. My
Oh,
apologies.
oh yeah.
If Saku
Anyways,
swept Quaz, then we'd still then it wouldn't be over.
right.
So
Right.
it's just like regardless of if Quaz wins, it's over. If Saku
Oh.
wins, it's gonna come down to your Mumket and Skittles
Gotcha.
regardless of match outcome.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna switch over to that match right now on screen. Agent, obviously, thank you for
One
coming in
last
for the
thing.
interview. Yes.
I'd like to shout out the THL Family Feud that's going on tomorrow evening.
Yeah. I was gonna definitely want to get that plugged. You
I
can do
was
it.
told to plug that as being a participant. Tune into that at
Well, there's
9 Eastern, I
9
think.
Eastern.
yeah,
Yep.
9 Eastern. There's 2 participants in this room.
That's
in
right.
this call, myself and Agent will both be participants, and I believe Geranium will be involved in some capacity as well. But you'll have to tune in for that tomorrow night. Yeah, Lotus has worked very hard to get this all planned out. So thank you, Lotus, for that. And thank you, Lotus, for playing on stream as well.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Yeah, have a good
Have a
one.
great night.
See ya.
Take care,
See ya.
PWE.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the next match. I have the bands up. It's a double warriors.
Bum bum
And
bum.
so Saku and Quaz are both challenged up.
Yeah, and
Want to run through classes super quick because I'm gonna send them off as soon as we're done.
I mean, Quaz and Saku run pretty similar classes. They both are running a druid. They both are running a hunter, and it's just that shaman or the rogue. Shaman being on Quaz's lineup, rogue being on Saku's lineup. That is the difference maker here. With Warriors Band, we might see another all-out aggro match.
Yeah, that'd be quite interesting.
Very much so. I mean, we're in a very interesting place right now as far as you know, as far as the matchups go.
Yeah, I mean, once again, with the warrior being banned on both sides, druid usually the clown druid loves picking on warrior. So because warrior is banned, it is probably pointing to more of a token druid. But we have been hearing, whispers of Jomberry druid. It's possible. Unlikely, but possible.
How funny would it be if somebody brought the most recent update to John Braid Druid tonight and just said, you know what, I'm gonna bring this tonight, even though I'm just starting to play it today.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I mean, people have certainly done that before. Maybe not in finals, but definitely. I've done it before. I've played decks that I have only a few games on to a THL match, and seen what happened. Obviously, I wasn't playing in finals for it, but yeah, we have the players. I told them they can go. For those spectating, Quaz is going to be first to spectate on the bottom, and Saku will be on the top.
A switcheroo. NPH now on the bottom.
Yes, and it'll swap back for match 3 if we get it.
I think I just need Saku to turn on spectator.
Ooh, so we're going to see the hunter, most likely a face hunter, versus this druid. Now, if it is the token druid, which it is, then, as I said before, a little bit of an equal matchup. This time we're seeing the hunter doesn't have as many of those early game pressure pieces to really beat up the druid. So we may actually see more of a game where the druid is able to actually make it in there, squeeze the tokens in, and then actually finish off.
Interesting, throwing a bunch back. That fungal fortunes is going to be pretty handy.
Yeah, Saku saying that the guess the weight is not the draw for him, and instead finding even better draw in the fungal fortunes.
This is an interesting one. I feel like he should probably take the Wolpertinger, right?
I think just to apply pressure, Wolpertinger is going to be the pick, just because the other ones need something developed, basically, either from Saku or from Quaz.
Yeah, I would have loved to tell him take the adorable infestation, but I feel like since he doesn't really have another 1-drop in hand to combo with it next turn, it's just not worthwhile.
Ooh, that is also not worthwhile. That draw of the Trampling Rhino means that later on, when the 4-mana 3/4 gets played, it will not be able to find the Trampling Rhino in deck and discover it to then give it the 2/1 buff. And the Fungal Fortune's coming out. Saku, with a huge hand here, is going to then be able to tempo out this Glowfly Swarm, and then the Arbor up right after. It does not look like Quaz has the answers.
It is very awkward, unfortunately. Quaz is really just going to need to hope that he can draw something to really help put on the aggression, but unfortunately, he just doesn't really have anything that can deal with that. He really had to make the most of the first, 3 to 4 turns to really build up that momentum. And once that board of 2/2s is made, I don't know what he's going to be able to do at that point. Seems like it's going to be a lost cause.
I'm sorry, I think I was accidentally muted. That's my fault. But I think this was the wrong play order here from Saku, because now he can't coin out the Glowfly Swarm this turn and absolutely start tapping out Quaz. Instead, he has to wait until turn 4 and then turn 5. And maybe Quaz will then have enough pressure going with the 5/4 coming out.
Oh, wow. He doesn't even hero power to kill off a 1/1. Ouch.
And now, because this Kolkar pack runner is developed, and the Imprisoned Felma is coming out, we're going to see that 3, maybe 4 of these Glowfly Swarm minions are going to be removed, and then the pressure from Saku is going to still need to be redeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that he wants to get the Power of the Wild that will make it so it's harder to clear off the Glowflies for sure, and so that the Kolkar pack runner can't value trade into one of them.
Also true. Yeah, this is absolutely the time to play the Lightning Bloom and buff everything up. It does mean that he won't be able to play the Arbor up next turn, but I do think that given the current state of things, that is going to be that is not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, we're going to see Adorable Infestation come out next turn. Possibly Fungal Fortunes. If enough of the board is cleared, we're going to see the Thorn Growth Sentries come out as well. But yeah, the Arbor Up not being able to be played next turn is a blow for sure.
And this is still also a very awkward situation for Quaz because this is not like the best use of his mana, and he's still going to have to trade in a bunch of stuff to only clear off 2 of these of the Glowflies.
Yes, and with the plays that are in Saku's hand, it looks like even putting so many resources into clearing this board isn't going to realistically matter that much. Oh, and a Pride's Fury too. Coin Pride's Fury might even be the play here, and it's pretty disgusting.
Honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't think that's the play. I don't think that's the play. I actually think the play here is coin out, play the Thorngrowth Sentries, and hero power off the 5/1.
I mean, I think these 4/6s are all going face. They just all go face. You say, opponent, you can't stop me from killing you, and then you kill them.
I don't actually have a problem with killing off the 2/3 and just clearing the board as well. I mean, at this point, obviously the Trampling Rhinos can take advantage of that, but like realistically speaking, Saku is still going to be in a pretty favorable position. It's also great because if you think about it, next turn he'll be able to play the Adorable Infestation and combo that with the Arbor up. So, yeah.
Okay, I really want Saku to please, please, please send these minions face. The Trampling Rhino can trade if it wants to, but please, we need to kill this hunter before it can kill us.
He also does have to be mindful of the fact that even with this hunter deck, there's only so much damage it can actually do. You know, he should go. I agree with you. You should go face because even if that Rhino can do a fair bit of damage, like realistically, I mean, how much can it do? It's not really going to be a problem, and anything it trades into, it's going to die. So yeah.
Yeah. And we would have had lethal, actually, if we had sent one more of those face last turn. It's not like the hunter really had enough pressure in order to actually lethal us the previous turn. And we're seeing
Very true. Very true.
also
But
the misordering on the Adorable Infestation here. So we don't have the +2/+1 on that minion as well.
correct. But fortunately for Saku, he's obviously playing this match. He's in a very favorable position right now, so there's not really anything Quaz can do about it. And it looks like Saku is going to take game 1 and take out Quaz's Hunter.
Yes, a very big thing. Hunter very good in this meta, especially in Hero, able to counter certain decks, and getting rid of it very early puts a lot of protection on your side.
Correct. Especially with the other classes that Saku has left, he's probably very relieved to get that Hunter out of it, knowing that had a fair bit of swing potential. It's also worth noting that this is a very interesting outcome considering when Lotus Knight and PWE played each other, the opposite outcome happened where Hunter took out the Druid instead of the other way around. So it's very interesting to see how these matchups can really play out differently on the flip of a coin.
Oh, it's all that early pressure. The face hunter on PWE side just had all the early minions, just made a full board super early on before the druid could really get in there and just cleaned it up. Also, I would like to say from that match, because Saku has won the first game, that means that your Mumked and Skittles will be playing for sure their match.
Actually, no, that's not true. Yeah, no, if Quaz wins, that's it. If Quaz wins, they'll be up by 4 points. So even if Skittles gets a sweep in the next game, tie will go to NPH. So the actual numbers of this match are irrelevant. Saku just needs to win in any form to keep his team alive, and then whatever the outcome is at that point, whatever the score is of your Mumkid versus Skittles, it'll be winner takes all. And we see here Saku has a pretty solid start, being able to play Nature's Growth, and will probably next turn play the Fungal Fortunes to really speed things up. But of course, we see that Quaz has a pretty good start of his own for his Elemental Doomhammer Shaman, is what I'm going to assume this is. And we see he's main decking an Alec here, which is not something you see very often.
I'm actually going to assume just the opposite. Usually when we see Alec here, that is more of a thing that you see with the Whack-A-Knoll hammer, more of the just elemental shaman, not aggro.
Fair. I gotta say, even though I understand the argument of mana efficiency, I really think he should have played the Custodian on that turn. But, putting more onto the board, getting that 3-drop weapon for next turn if he wants to play it, and just, putting more pressure onto Saku. But,
yeah,
I mean, a Taunt Totem, not terrible, just feels like it doesn't really add much right now.
I think this is the problem of having used the coin on turn 1. It means that he didn't maybe feel that the Cage Master Custodian was a good play on turn 2, but if he's playing with the Whack-A-Knoll hammer, the Whack-A-Knoll hammer on 3 is very good into a druid where you want to squeeze them out as early as possible. So
yeah, exactly.
Slow developments like this and playing the Primal Dungeoneer instead of drawing a weapon, you got one more turn, means that Saku just might have the time to play his big board of tokens and just swing all face.
Absolutely. Oh,
Oh,
wow. That is a
oh.
top deck and a half.
That is what Saku wants to see.
That is literally the best possible top deck that he could have gotten in that situation. This is
And
definitely Innervate into Glowfly Swarm. 110%. That's going to be a full Glowfly board right there.
Dunk Tank's not ready. Quaz is not ready.
Nope.
This Token Druid is absolutely sweeping right now.
And
Looking like
Quaz
it.
is not going to have a way to get the Dunk Tank online this for next turn. So it's rough. It is definitely rough. He's going to be able to obviously clear a few of these. But as we know, Saku has the Arbor up. And he could also play the Pride's Fury if he wants to just make everything bigger to avoid a Dunk Tank. It's a good situation for him right now. But I think for sure he's better off just playing the Arbor up here. Get the board going. Just, I think pretty much everything should go face. Because he's just going to want to try to outpace Quaz at this point.
Yeah, it's just Arbor up 1, Arbor up 2, or Arbor up 3. Really, he has so many options at his
Right.
disposal. And I'm not necessarily on board with this Lightning Bloom. Sure, he can hero power.
Risky. It's very risky to play it here. If I were him, I'd hold on to it because he's not really in a situation where he needs it.
Oh.
And I don't like this also because this is a similar problem we saw the last turn where he's it's poor ordering, unfortunately.
The ordering is maybe going to matter, but more so what's going to matter is that next turn he's only going to have 4 mana. And if Quaz is able to clear some of this board, then that Pride's Fury that he's saying, I'm going to play Pride's Fury next turn. You can't stop me from playing Pride's Fury next turn. That is going to be much worse.
That's fair. And he's obviously going to try to set up here for the Dunk Tank in 2 turns. I think he just realistically, he's got to play the Lily Pad Lurker to put that online. But, we're going to see here, the Pride's Fury is going to come out and just going to make that card completely irrelevant.
Yeah, wasn't able to stop Pride's Fury from coming out. Now, the Dunk Tank, like you said, not going to be able to do much of anything. And I want to see these go face, once again.
Yep.
That's my man, Saku.
I mean, I actually don't mind trading the 6-4, but no, he's gonna go all face. That's fine too. Yeah, works out. I mean, I will say this, the ordering of last turn could have been a little bit better, but I actually do think he made the right play going for the Innervate, knowing that not the Innervate, excuse me, going for the Lightning Bloom, knowing that he would still have enough mana to play the Pride's Fury next turn, and that worked out to his benefit in a big way here. So props to Saku for thinking that one, thinking that play the way he did.
By the way, I'd like to preempt any people saying I may be a biased commentator. I'm biased towards seeing this last match happen. I really want to see Skittles versus your mum, Ked.
I was going to say, yeah. We love a good championship that comes down to the very last match.
And Saku up 2-0 with this Token Druid just continuing to plow through Quaz's lineup. And it's going to be a Druid Mirror.
Also, wait. Have we made a joke yet about both these guys being Canadian? They're both Canadian, right? But they're both Canadian. So
That's pretty
all I'll say
eh?
is this. There's going to be a lot of apologizing when this match is over, isn't there, Ben?
Sorry.
And of course now, Saku going for that sweep, but to do so, he's going to have to beat the Token Druid Mirror.
This is all about early minion generation and then having those minions stick around, clear off the opponent's stuff. The Thorngrove Sentries being thrown away from Saku and being drawn for Quaz might actually mean Quaz is going to take this. I mean, Thorngrove Sentries is very, very good in the early game.
It could be, but it's really going to be dependent on whatever kind of follow-up plays Quaz is going to have.
I love the Fire Festival.
Because the Sentries is going to be good early game, but he's also going to need to draw those buffs to really make it worthwhile. Saku, by contrast, does have the Glowfly Swarm, but he doesn't really have much else as far as spells. Like, he's going to want some draw power to really make the most of that when the turn comes. But knowing he can play that on turn 3 could wind up being very huge for him. And speaking of Thorngrown Sentries...
Wow, that's a very good draw for Saku, considering that he threw it away. Now this Thorngrown Sentries is not looking as impactful from Quaz. I do think that the Thorngrown Sentries was a very good play early game here for Quaz because he has that guess the weight in hand, because he knows that he can sort of get that rolling and get through his deck, see more of his deck. Ooh, and the Lightning Bloom as well means that this guess the weight doesn't necessarily have to be said for less here. Yeah, as a more, it does mean we're going to draw the nature studies next turn instead of right now. But if we had done something more, if we had gotten something like the Arbor up, because we have that Lightning Bloom, it makes it easier to see that be played.
So, question for this turn: do you think Saku should play the Lunar Eclipse to really give himself a better shot of developing his board? Because I'll be honest, knowing Quaz's board now, I think it might actually be a good idea to play the Eclipse.
Oh yeah, Lunar Eclipse is definitely the play. It not only clears off one of the 2 turtles, but it means that your Thorngrown Sentries are going to value trade into the last Thorngrown Sentry over there, but not played.
What?
Okay.
A
blunder.
Forgot about the discount. Oh, Saku.
It's okay. We've got only 1 minion on the side of Quaz, which means that Saku does have time still to play the Thorngrown Sentries and start developing.
Ooh. Interesting choice to use the Solar Eclipse on the Nature Studies.
Yes. He definitely does need the draw. But actually, I mean, using the Solar Eclipse on the Guidance instead might have been an interesting line. But I mean, he didn't have it in hand at the time.
It's all right. I actually think Saku is still in a pretty good spot. I think he definitely wants to play the Thorn-Grown Sentries, and play the Adorable Infestation too, as well. Or wait,
order. Make sure that you order it so that you can, you coin before you play.
Yeah.
The solar here.
If he's, oh, I see what he's doing. He's gonna do. Okay. That's
Big board.
So yeah, go wide. Play the Pride's Fury next turn.
Pride's Fury is glued to Saku's hand, and he loves it.
I think actually he should have played the Adorable Infestation, but he could also still play that next turn, so seems fine. Oh, this is looking rough for Quaz. Some unfortunate draws. He's got the other Guess the Weight, so he can, he could obviously try to do some stuff for next turn, but as he's about to find out, Saku is quickly going to turn the tide of this game in 1 card.
Yeah, and I don't think that Quaz is going to really get on the board anymore for the rest of this game. Once this Thorngrown Sentries gets buffed up by the Pride's Fury, it's going to lock out any pressure that Quaz could amount.
Yep. He is, I guess he's going to see if he can, oh, okay, interesting. He's gonna, that actually works out pretty well. He does allow himself to clear off one of the turtles, and I guess he's gonna, he'll clear off 2 of them. So that's pretty good. But this is still gonna be a pretty solid move for Saku, to, get some decent buffs going.
And we are going to see the Adorable Infestation probably come out if he's fingering this coin here. Or maybe just a Glowfly Swarm. He doesn't necessarily need these Thorngrown Sentries to be the one.
I must think.
I mean, it's a bit of a gamble if he wants to play the Guess the Weight first, but I think here's a beautiful opportunity. Go for the Pride's Fury. Knowing that, of course, your opponent isn't going to really have any type of easy answer. And this is obviously a very intimidating board at the moment.
Well, Lunar Eclipse is going to be able to take one of the minions out, but once again, still no token generation from Quaz unless he wants to use his Power of the Wild, which isn't going to do much of anything.
Wow, he's not even going to portal to kill one of them off. Interesting.
Also, might have. I think I wanted to see the attack into the 3/4 just so that that could be the one picked off by the Lunar Eclipse,
Right,
or
it's not
even
played at all.
just so it could be traded into with the Power of the Wild token.
Yeah. Okay, Saku's going for less, and
Saku also missing. He got an Arbor up as his follow-up card.
oh wow, I was gonna say for some reason I didn't even see that.
Yeah, that happens when you're not spectating that person first. You can't see their card.
That's
It's a bummer.
Stream doesn't
But
see it, but if you
now
hover
we
over the
know
guest
what-
away,
I think Saku pretty much has this one in the bag with that Arbor up. I think Quaz is gonna have to kill one of these off, just to put it, try to do what he can.
ooh,
Yeah,
yeah,
he just did not get the cards he needed.
that is very unfortunate for Quaz.
That's pretty much it, unfortunately.
And yeah, setting up lethal for next turn, and there's nothing that Quaz could draw here.
No. Some
I can't win
very
them all.
unfortunate draws, and Saku with the massive token druid sweep. We have ourselves, everybody, a match 5. It's going to come down to the very last set between Skittle of Blast and your mum kid of NPH.
Two absolute powerhouses in the 3. Skittles 5-1 right now, and your Mumked 9-3. Absolutely putting on a clinic.
It's
Man,
pretty nuts.
yeah. This is gonna be interesting. Got one last match. Blast has the point advantage now, or very close to it.
No, they have the point advantage. They're up by 2 points, but as we discussed before, because a tie would go to the team with the most match wins, the ultimate match.
This last match decides it all,
don't end up
regardless,
mattering.
because now it's 2-2 in matches.
Correct.
So
Look, I've gotten it wrong enough times where I'm just going to let you guys say that, and awesome.
well, now it's 2-2 in matches. So this one literally does decide it. Saku,
Right.
my man,
What's up?
the op who taught me how to op. Welcome.
Saku, my man, we always like to speak highly of you in terms of your THL skills and talk about coming in clutch when you needed to most.
Man, all I heard from last stream is like he needs 1 point. I'm like, gosh.
We got
We got things mixed up. We got things kind of mixed up with the stuff. If Quaz had won, the match would have been over. But hey, that doesn't matter anymore. You completely full swept, and you have put your team in point advantage, which it doesn't necessarily matter. Skittle still has to win, but hey, you kept your team alive, and
and that's
and you did really great.
You made this set that much more exciting.
Yeah.
Basically,
it had to go game 5, guys. All the other series went game 5, so it's just proper that it had to go this way. So, but props,
you swept
props to Quaz there and MPH. It's gonna be a hell of a game 5 or match 5, I should say.
Match 5, you mean? I was like,
yes.
I was gonna say your set was a sweep. What are you talking about, Saku?
I'm just thinking of Skittles there jumping in.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We also wanted to make a Canadian joke since 2 Canadians going at it in this finals. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah,
it's a coast to coast battle, so it's Beast Coast versus the West Coast. So.
Is there going to be a lot of apologizing now?
There's already been tons of apologies between Quaz and myself and DM. So sorry,
Sounds
man.
about right. Sounds about right.
like,
oh no, go ahead, Fish.
No, well, first we should. I mean, obviously we congratulated you. I like it's really interesting when you have matches that kind of go like this, where one person kind of, and you did get a lot of blowouts with the token druid. It's just one of those decks that does that. And it's so interesting to watch like the token druid mirrors. Like I like the timely draw of your Thorn Growth, because that's because the casters were pointing out how important that card is in the matchup.
Yeah.
Because you were able to match his, you were able either on turn 2 or later to actually match his Thorn Growth. And kind of fortunately for you, he didn't have a whole lot of follow up.
No.
So I mean, watching from the op perspective or caster's perspective, you feel bad when you see that, because you like to see really competitive matches, and token drew mirrors are crazy when that happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As soon as he pulled solar and then did what was this, the
nature studies.
Nature studies. I was like, oh, okay, he must not have too much a good hand. Is trying to build one out of the spell itself. So it was I felt I could have got those. God, I'm bad with names.
I mean,
bad
mana,
with the card, that's the 1/2 card that's taunt. I felt I could have done it last turn.
The sentries,
Yeah, the sentry. So I felt I could have done it last turn, and then I would have been able to buff it up a little better, and then start doing damage faster. But it was just a turn later that I was able to do it, because he didn't have too much in his hand after that turn. So it was good.
Yeah.
Properly weighing.
So, being that you have played now this token druid 3 times in a row, the Pride's Fury was absolutely glued to your hand all 3 of those games. Now, if you have one favorite card from token druid, is it Pride's Fury?
No, playing ladder this past day and a half, because Lotus told me I should be picking token druid, and I was more leaning towards clown druid because that's what I was winning with in the season. Quite a bit. So I got a few turns into token druid, and on ladder I never got the damn, I can't even think of the card.
That card,
that card.
Prides,
that 4 mana.
Prides,
Pride's Fury. There. So
yeah.
So it never came up ever on ladder for me. So tonight it was Pride's Fury's show. So
yeah. And this really, well maneuvered with the matchup. It's got to be nerve-wracking playing for your team's life in a finals match.
Yeah, this is my first finals, so all I wanted to do was just basically put my numbers in, get a win if we can get a win, because I know Quaz is a very experienced and has a couple titles himself, so he's used to the pressure of a finals and being on stream and all that jazz. So he's a great opponent. So
yeah, definitely. Shout out, like, Quaz is a fantastic player. Unfortunately, every time I've had a chance to play him, I had like something where I had, especially this season, I had a chance to play him, and unfortunately that was my finals week, so I had to take a sub. Yeah. But I would like to play him like one of these seasons. Just a great player. We've been looking for. We mentioned it on Tavern Talk, because the week I was supposed to play him was the week he came on the show. Yeah. But enough about that. I'm just kind of waiting for words about Skittles and your mum kid about if the match is going to start, like when it's going to start, because honestly, if they don't, like, we have about 40 minutes to burn until 11 o'clock when their match is supposed to play, which is no fault of the players. It's just how matches go. Lotus and Agent went 5 games and they went 40 minutes long. Like, and then your match goes a lot shorter because you have only 3 matches.
Of all the aggro, and I mean, speaking of the aggro, that token druid, I think is much better positioned against all the aggressive decks than your primordial druid, just because it doesn't take as many turns in order to set up, and you can have those burst finishes earlier. But for the other decks that weren't token druid, you didn't get to play them. Was there one that was you were hoping you could have gotten to play more so?
I was hoping I didn't have to play with my rogue.
Ah,
I guess
okay.
we go the opposite way. I rogue I was not too comfortable with, but it was going to match up pretty well with Quaz's lineup. We felt so.
Yeah.
It was it ended up just using token druid, and the hunter was just your generic, generic hunter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar to the way Agent PWE was playing tonight. So.
Well, yeah. Obviously, thank you for coming on stream.
No problem.
Thank you to Quas also for coming on stream. And everybody, stay here, stay right here. We've got more matches. I'm sure that the casters and I will be able to fill time while we wait for Skittles and your mum kid to get word from them. And we will have that match when it's ready.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Skittles. I think it's more of a work schedule thing for Skittles. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
that's understandable. Yeah.
But I'll reach out and see where he's at, and
Sure.
I'll message you guys back. So
Thanks, man.
Uh,
I'll
before
leave
you,
you. I'll just
Oh.
communicate in the chat here when you know stuff.
go ahead, Jeremy.
Before you sign out, I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure once the stream catches up, you are going to post a nice message in general and chill like you used to, right?
That's my signature. I think I started it in THL. It might have been started way back when, but any other competitive game that I do play, I just throw my good game, seeing if I get stomped or the opposite way, which is rare.
You're
for
the
me.
you're the reason I do that. You're the reason that I if with certain opponents I will always GG's them in the chat even if they stomp in the Discord even if they stomp me.
That's right. Yeah. So it's like THL's really good with that sort of thing anyway. But it was good. So
I always
thanks,
love to see it. It's very wholesome to see. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, especially
Thanks, guys.
when you come from community like I've come from. Yeah, it's great.
Enjoy your night and let's go blast. Let's go.
Enjoy yours.
Yeah.
Thanks,
man.
buddy.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night, Saku.
Yeah, take care,
Thanks,
my guy.
guys.
All right. Well, I actually did just get a message from Skittles just as Saku left, and he said incoming. So I assume we'll see about your mum cat because I'm not sure. Also, if your mum kid will be ready because obviously both players need to be ready for the match. But I will put that match up on screen now. So quick transition. So
This one is definitely unique.
Yeah,
For matchups.
We have our classes up on screen. Your mum kid has brought Druid, Priest, Shaman, Warrior, and Skittles has brought Demon Hunter, Druid, Priest, Warrior. So as you notice, we actually have some weird class that starts with a P in their name, like both players bringing Priest, even with the nerfs coming in, and I mean it is fair play because we didn't really know if Priest was gonna get hit, how hard these hits were gonna be. To Priest, I'm not even 100% sure as I haven't faced the Priest yet on because I don't play a lot of standard ladder personally, but I'm sure if you two have any experience with how Priest is kind of being played right now. I've seen it not as much in the higher up levels, but we'll see.
I honestly haven't laddered much the last few days, so I can't really comment.
Gotcha.
I'm looking very much forward to next expansion because I don't enjoy this meta all that much. It's always that sort of looking forward to the greener pastures beyond. But looking at HS replay stats, the play rate for Priest is way down, down from around like 20% to around 5%.
Gosh.
Yeah,
that's a lot of drop. Usually you don't see that after nerfs.
And in addition to that, though, the matchups aren't like insanely worse. It is, of course, lower in the matchups, but it is not that much worse where Priest is unplayable. So we could very well see these Priests do as Priest has done before, generate a lot of random spells, win the matchups they really shouldn't, but it may end up affecting it as well.
Yeah, I also think that there's a chance there's a chance that we just see it banned as well. I mean, it is pretty late for these players. They might not really want to go up against the Priest right now. That will leave us. We're very likely to see Warrior, which has been banned in every other match so far. Double Warrior bans with no Priest up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we could also see the late night Masters Tour qualifier gambit. It's extremely late where you are, so here you get to play Priest and mess up with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the time zones for both players, but I know Skittles is West Coast. And I'm not sure about your Mumked, so it's not super late for Skittles. But yeah, you're right. The Masters Tour gambit of it's late. I'm gonna leave your Priest up and make you and see if you can play it at late hours of the night. Which, I mean, some players are just amazing and can do that. I am not that person. But otherwise, I think the classes these are pretty much the classes we've been seeing. A lot of Druid, a lot of obviously Warriors pretty much bring for everybody. I would be surprised if I looked and didn't see Warrior up and down. Only one player didn't bring Warrior, and that was Avi.
And Avi lost.
And Avi did not win. He banned his opponent's Warrior though. And he was left with Priest up, and he lost 3-2 to Carvalho. Which I'm sure was a very good series. We'll recap the order. I have the order of matches while we have time. Those 2-star Mako and Disco started the week, and it was a 3-2 win for Mako, which set a very good tone for Blast. And then Carvalho leveled it up with a 3-2 win over Obviously. And then on stream, we saw Agent take a 3-2 over Lotus, and then Saku taking a 3-0 over Quaz. So that's where we stand in points. I don't know how much has been reported, but we know the point. But I'm sure we can figure out the points total. 10-8. So that's now 12-10 in the favor of Blast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad to see, one of the first matches of the week. I'm just glad to see that 2-star Mako is not 2-win Mako.
Yes,
He is.
He is
well. Still in it. Still competing, and getting that win was very nice and extremely close. But all the way down. I mean, except for Saku's match that we just saw, it was 2-3s, game 5s all day.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even be surprised to see a game 5 from these two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have time. I'll give a couple of shout outs to things. I'll re-mention that Family Feud, the second ever THL Family Feud, will be taking place tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be hosted by Lotus Knight. We'll have 2 teams of 5 players on each team, so they will be competing in what is the show Family Feud, where we have various questions, and there are a certain number of answers worth based on a poll that was taken, that was given in the Discord throughout the last week. So yeah, that's gonna be super exciting. It's gonna be a lot of fun, just to kind of have fun, poke fun at poking fun at things, and just having a great time. So there'll be Geranium and myself will both be participating in some capacity. And then I also, because this happened also today, our other finals match concluded, and I want to congratulate F12 Viridian on taking a 16-6 win over Everyone's a Winner, clinching their second Wild Series championship. So for Marty B, Corbett, I believe it's Marty B, Neji Boston, and Rada, that is their second. For Corbett, that is Corbett and Get Me Out, that is their first championship in Wild. Although I'm not unsure who won I don't know exactly the team that won the first ever Wild Series. So
yeah, there's been very few championships in Wild.
Yes.
This is technically the 4th, despite the fact that it is season 3, because there was a alpha season testing it out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, F2L getting the 2-peat instead of Everyone's a Winner, who would have gone back to back if they had won this year.
Yeah.
Or sorry, this season. Now, going F2L Viridian, absolute powerhouse. They deserve it. They deserve this win. They showed that they were extremely powerful when they faced Everyone's a Winner earlier in the season, and they also had 4 wins. It's just that we didn't see a win back from Everyone's a Winner like we did in week 8, of this season.
Just due to how these matches work, with the and it had been clinched prior to Get Me Out winning. The final match was Get Me Out versus Battle Tiger, and Get Me Out did win one game match, which would have put the series out of reach after F2L went up. I believe they went up 12 to not 12. Yeah.
12 to 5.
Yeah, they went up 12 to 5, only requiring 1 point to make sure that everyone's a winner. Couldn't tie them with even with winning every match, with Sunday getting a sweep over Corvette and Tagger winning 3-1. It would have resulted in everyone's a winner taking it because they had 3 match wins. So yeah, unlike this series, a lot closer, similar to Legacy, and also I would guess it seems like Wild and Pro were quite similar in their finals. So it's kind of interesting to see that the PR series are playing out very closely while the non-PR series played out a little bit more of a four, where not every match was played. Those unlike this finals and Legacy finals both came down to their 5th match.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to also bring it back a little bit to talking about Family Feud. You brought it up. I would like to note that the Family Feud questions, I mean, Dr. Fish can't look them up because he's participating.
I'm playing, yeah.
But any of the people watching this show, if you just want to see ahead of time what those questions are going to be, you can look and find the form, and you can think about what answers you might answer for it in preparation for that Family Feud match, 9 p.m. tomorrow.
So
Agent PWE, Dr. Fish were already here today. They've already talked about how they're going to be on it, and there's quite a docket of other people involved.
yeah.
It's going to be a good night for sure. You're definitely not going to want to miss it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I wonder what the so with the win also for Pro and Wild, it was very obvious not only in who had won, just in that not all the matches had been played, but also it was very obvious what the merch would be, because Wash Tappers, we knew that Wash Tappers would have Shed Ape, and
Yes.
we know F2L already has a lot of F2L merch, so it is more of a question though. What will the merch be from this matchup right now? What will Hot Zilfs make as their merch from 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that's true. We haven't really gotten any words. I mean, MPH will be pretty obvious. It'll probably just be their MPH logo, and Blast as well. Like Blast's logo would be really cool on a T-shirt. Like, if I think of the merches I would be most excited for besides Wash Tappers, because Shed Ape. I think it'd be Blast merch if they win, but it's not set in stone. Just because I like their logo a lot. But we'll see. F2L will just have green merch on top of their merch that they already have in the store. As one of the legacy franchises of, and by legacy I don't just mean the series, but as a long time standing franchise in a THL, getting merch already. So we'll see more F2L, so you can get your green F2L merch once that comes out.
Oh please, it's Viridian.
Well, yeah, but it's still a shade of green. So we can't. So we're not gonna make too big distinction deals over this.
Yeah.
Although I like your. I like the banter bit. I do. Yeah, I'm just waiting on the players to. We're just gonna, I guess, be able to talk about, I guess, what you guys think about bans. If you think it's just gonna be double priest, or if you think they're gonna leave the priest up. I guess we'll cycle back to the match, as we need to kind of focus in on that, because I have no clue when both players are gonna say we're ready to go.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Priest is just a little bit untested still. We've had a few days with the updates. I think that one player, only one player, is going to ban Priest, and I think that might decide it. Much like Disco versus Mako earlier today, Mako having not banned Disco's Priest, Disco having banned Mako's Priest. Sorry, that match didn't happen earlier today, but the idea is similar. That one player will ban Priest, and that will possibly decide this match.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I agree with that. I think if one person, I think that could definitely play into things. I think I think if any player might be more incentivized to not ban it, it could be your mum kid. But I think just like Druid and Warrior kind of have miserable times into N'Zoth Priest regardless. Even without Apotheosis, Token Druid will still struggle with the fact that even with a 4 mana HP break for the deck, it can still get cleared out by Samuro pretty well. Although not having that Samuro with like a big Apotheosis, there's still cards in the deck that are cards you could generate like Power Word Fortitude or Power Infusion. I think it depends on what type of druid and what type of druid, and I think they're both probably gonna be Rush Warrior, but we'll see.
I think that it could. I mean, so we saw this a lot in the pro matches where there was a lot of control warrior being brought, or also in Legacy even.
Yeah.
But just sorry, not Legacy. Last week with Wherever I May Roam, bringing a lot of control warrior.
Yeah,
But it's very possible that your Mumked, seeing the Demon Hunter from Skittles, might go with a Primordial Druid and ban Skittles' possible token Druid.
True. Yeah,
Just
that can
because
happen.
Primordial Druid just deals with late game decks like the Demon Hunter could be, like Priest, like Warrior especially, very well.
Yeah,
I think
So
that's a pretty fair statement.
for sure.
if one player was going to ban Priest, I think my bet is that Skittles bans Priest, your Mumked maybe bans that Druid, and it's very telling what the decks are then if those are the bans.
Definitely, I agree. Definitely agree with that. Yeah.
It is
Kind of running out of things, but
Yeah.
I guess we have. Well, tonight we've seen Agent get a 3-2 win over Lotus, winning very interesting matches between the two players. I like the Wriggling Horror inclusion in that Hunter deck, just because it allowed him to get that almost Token Druid like start against Token Druid of Lotus Knight. But then we saw in Quaz's deck he didn't have that type of. He might have had it in the deck, but he didn't draw it, so that hindered him a lot against Saku. And I mean, and then the Rogue's not having a great time tonight, but no Rogues in this match at all. So no more chances for Rogue to get wins. Shaman has been interesting. Agent getting the last 2 wins on his Doomhammer Shaman against the OTKDH and Miracle Rogue to close that, and Saku sweeping on Token with the Warrior ban. So it's the Druid, Hunter, and Shaman.
Actually, speaking of Shaman, a question for both of you is: we've seen the Elemental Shaman, the more late game focused one with Alec here, and we've seen a Doomhammer Shaman, a very aggressive deck.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think your Mumked is bringing?
I think I'll let JR answer first.
What was the question again? I was I was having trouble understanding it.
Oh, sorry. So we've seen the 2 main types of Shaman: the more late game focused Elemental, and the more aggressive Doomhammer Shaman. We've seen both of those on No Pros Here's side. Which one do you think your Mumked is bringing?
I'll let Fish go first because I have a couple different thoughts about this, honestly.
Oh, okay. I think it's interesting with the classes that have been brought. Seeing if he wants a good priest counter, he'll just bring Doomhammer, Shaman, and if he leaves the priest up, if Skittles hasn't paid the ooze tax, it'll be a pretty good matchup for your Mumked. I think in general, I think Doomhammer Shaman is just a better deck. I know Elemental Shaman, a more like control-y Elemental Shaman deck. It's not really control, but it's mid-range. I think that deck has its very specific matchups that it can do well into, and I'm not sure Priest is one of those. Although it generally Shaman should be fine into Priest. I would like to see. I think it'd be like Doomhammer with an element. I like Doomhammer with an elemental package for the early game is what I tend to like. But we'll see. It could just, I mean, full aggro shaman it has its way. I would like to see kind of that hybrid aggro Ellie shaman from your mum kid though.
Yeah, I think Shaman is right now in an interesting place of, various forms of like it's all aggro Shaman, but there's a lot of room for certain like tech choices. Not everybody's playing a focus on certain elementals. Not everybody's playing Doom Hammers. We're seeing like some interesting variety with some of the cards. It doesn't necessarily change so much in terms of how you want to play against the deck, but it does kind of give you. It can change what you need to play around. Depending on the situation.
Yeah. My 2 cents on it. I mean, so Shaman actually was doing pretty well into Priest before. Actually, part of the reason why Shaman isn't doing as well now is because Priest has dropped off so much with the nerfs. So, being that there is a Priest on the other side, I think that the Shaman is well placed. Of the two variants, though, I do think that Doomhammer Shaman is just going to more consistently burst out whatever late game focused decks Skittles is going to bring.
For sure. We'll see. I mean, I guess yeah, Jimmy made a point in chat, and you'll hear this in 10 minutes to just put the I'll link the form for Family Feud chat for everybody. So, but right now we are just waiting on your mumked to be ready to go. He just needs, whenever he's ready, he can log in, and then we'll get bans from the players when they're ready. But we're still yeah, we're just still kind of in that waiting session, and so I guess.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the decision to bring Demon Hunter a lot from Blast? It seems that Lotus Knight, Avi, Skittles, and Mako all brought Demon Hunter to mixed results.
Well, I would argue when Lotus Knight brought it, it was pretty effective. I mean, obviously, he won one game with it, he lost another, but I think it's pretty fair to say that it was still overall a pretty solid deck. I definitely think he could have beaten the AGPWE Shaman with it. It just, the cards were not in his favor. And he was like, I'll be honest, going back to that match, I feel like maybe he would have survived if he just didn't try to play the Il'gynoth there. Like maybe if he just tried to gain a lot of health and see how that worked out. Like obviously it was tough because he would have had to rely on drawing additional removal, additional like lifesteal cards, but it seemed like, he probably should have just seen what he could accomplish instead of just giving up right then and there.
Yeah, and that's mean, that's a very valid point. That was something that I saw brought up in chat, was maybe healing.
I thought that's
With
what he
the
was
I
going to do,
beam.
honestly.
Yeah,
That was the
you
weird
just
thing.
play like a couple of the Boargs, and then you would heal. But hey, I think he wanted to. I don't mind the fact he was forcing agent with a pretty small hand size to have one of the cards that would win him the game. Um, so I mean, I don't necessarily mind it, and if he hadn't gotten it, then it would have obviously resulted in Lotus very likely win next turn. Um, but
Yeah, I mean,
here nor
Lotus
there.
is two. Lotus is 2 games earlier this stream session were definitely pretty big outliers. I mean, we had one game where the OTK happened with 5 mana on turn 7, and then another
Yeah.
game where
Which was
his
pretty bad.
opponent got a 4/10 to just keep smacking him over and over and over. So
Yeah, that happens.
Smack,
It's
smack,
such an
smack.
it was such an interesting, that was such an interesting matchup. I mean, very like I think the OTK DH in both games was like kind of in an awkward spot. And both skulls were pretty good. It's just one of them was game winning because the talented Arcanist was what put it over the top.
oh yeah,
So because OTKDH is a very like I've been playing it a bit lately. It's quite an interesting deck to navigate in understanding the breakpoints of how much damage you do. With various amounts of Moargs and what spells you use for it, but so and I'm sure Lotus had it all probably had it mostly calculated. It's sometimes hard to be 100% sure because you're trying to do you're trying to like multiply and do all this stuff in the span of like a minute and 15 seconds worth of a turn. So it's quite difficult to navigate unless you have even sometimes with a ton of games under your belt. But to go back to your original question about what do I think of the Demon Hunter bring, I think it's really like it's kind of that if he goes with Death Rattle Demon Hunter, other than the Druid, has not terrible matchups into everything else that your Mumkid brought. Where it's 50-50 with Rush Warrior. And it's also about 50-50 with different versions of Shaman, but it has a good matchup into Priest. Like both players kind of have that Priest counter deck potential. Yeah. So if they don't want to ban Priest, but it would be really appreciated if they did. I do think that Skittles with this lineup could go for a Druid ban and probably be okay. But it's up to the players. I do have word that we are gonna be that your Mumkid won't be ready to go for until allotted match time, which is fine. It's every player's the players don't have to play super consecutively. It's always great when they do. But we respect the time of our players. So if they aren't available until then that's fine. But I mean,
so
this is
when you guys get to this point in the stream when we're talking about this, that's going to be another about 10 minutes before we're going to get into the games here.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
we'll
say
that for the
YouTube
YouTube because for YouTube this will be very interesting because this is going to be a super long 50-minute, not 50 minutes exactly, but a decently long chunk from the Saku interview until the next match. But we want to thank you for sticking around. I mean, we're still holding a lot of viewers despite having this lull in the action. It's so hard. I don't really have anything to talk about. I guess if any of you have questions, just keep firing away and we can just have a good conversation.
Well, yeah, I think so one interesting aspect you brought up is the ability for Death Rattle Demon Hunter to counter Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the Demon Hunter is much better in these closed decklist formats? I know we didn't really see it in the Pro series.
I think it's pretty good in I think it's pretty good in closed deck list. I know there was quite a good chunk of Demon Hunter being played. Just not in the finals. The finals was all about Priest. It was all about like playing very hard. Like it wasn't just playing decks that would have a favorable over Priest. They were looking for those extreme favorables over Priest. So Death Rattle Demon Hunter in that those lineups wouldn't necessarily go because they're still because like Priest can still have plenty of chances. At least the old version of Priest could get there against Demon Hunter pretty easily. But there's are just some matchups where Priest is super unfavored, and that's what they were looking for. Um, I think in this case, I think the Demon Hunter bring is fine. Um, it all depends on comfortability and what decks you like playing. Honestly, I'm curious if any of these players will bring the Owl Druid deck. I'll call it the Owl Druid deck. Um, I that deck has been catching a lot of popularity, as well as like, but still with Primordial Druid or Clown Druid and Token being pretty favored already in these matchups. We'll have to see. I think the like you said, um, quite a while ago, it'll be the bans will kind of give us an idea of the decks.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, is this, could this easily be a warrior ban again, given the, because I could definitely, we're seeing kind of a nice, well-rounded, um, like, list of classes here. Like, if there was like more, like with PWE, and Lotus's match, banning warrior made a lot of sense simply from a standpoint of he brought a bunch of aggro decks that were all going to struggle against warrior, so you ban that. But your Mumked, by contrast, like he's got the Shaman and Druid, which could be somewhat aggressive, but it's not necessarily going to be as Warrior's not necessarily going to be as problematic. So begs the question: do you ban it?
Um,
I mean, this is the real quandary about do you bring Priest, because Priest kind of forces you to think this could be some longer game matchups. This is not necessarily going to be an all out aggro brawl.
yeah, I think in cases where warrior is left up, there has to be very hard consideration for Primordial Druid. And then you can get into all sorts of mind games from there, and you could psych yourself out a million ways trying to look at matchups with how flexible these some of these classes are. Really, I think warrior is probably the most concrete, unless one of these players is unless you're playing against like Milo or someone who just is known to play control warrior. Like I would guess these players are going to bring um like a rush warrior deck because it's one of the strongest decks right now, especially with the priest nerfs coming in. Um,
Yeah, Control Warrior is definitely a deck you need to know how to play
yeah,
in order to do very well on it. And there are definitely some great coaches for Control Warrior
exactly.
here at
Yeah.
THL. There's lots of resources to use for it, but if you don't have the time to learn the deck, you should not bring it.
It's definitely a tough deck to play. Not one. I remember I was almost going to bring the deck, but my teammates were like, "You're not really going to learn that in such a short period, so probably best stick to your comfort zone."
Yep.
Oh yeah, I
Which
mean,
is pretty logical.
Yeah. Generally, I say comfort trumps everything. In general, there are especially when you're looking at a deck like Control Warrior or even Priest. Like Priest is a deck where if you don't where like you could easily not do well on Priest because it's a very complicated deck to play. Yeah, you can just sometimes generate your way out of things, but well, your decisions matter so much on that deck. Um, so I mean, I think that's a whole other topic to go over that you could go over for a very long time.
oh yeah, I mean, choices matter so much in Priest because you're discovering a lot of the time, which means you have to choose what you're generating. You can't just skamaz the opponent by randomly getting the perfect card. You have to choose that perfect card earlier.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. So
But it Yeah, it ends up being pretty pretty manageable overall though.
Yeah. So we have about 5 minutes left until the match, until the band should get underway. Um, and again, just to reiterate, this is the last match of the season. There is no other matches left to be played this season. This will decide who wins Hero Series. We have our three other constructed series champions, that being Hot Zilfs in Legacy, Wash Tappers in Pro, and F12 Viridian in Wild. And then in Battlegrounds, our champions was Lemurs. I know that happened a very long time ago, but it still happened during this round of seasons. Um. So yeah.
Actually, speaking of this round of seasons, I know we talked earlier about Family Feud happening tomorrow, but that is not the only thing to look forward to tomorrow because two different series are ending right now. The captains
Captains.
are going to be announced tomorrow for
Yes.
two different series.
Yeah. Wild and Hero Free Agency will begin tomorrow upon the announcement of captains. So if you're interested in playing in those series, um, and I would highly suggest um getting ready to make a free agent post. Get your free agent um tag in the Discord. You can do that as long as you're in the THL Discord. And I guess if you know, you can find that through our website, teamhearthlegends.com. This week we're gonna have Family Feud on Monday. We're gonna have Hearts Center on Tuesday, and then Tavern Talk. The three of us will be back on this Wednesday, and we'll have all the information for which teams will be interviewed on for which series on which night, as that has not been 100% confirmed yet. As I talk to NHL about it, or Marty B, as some people, he's known kind of by both. Um, yeah, I'm super looking forward to this week of shows as we wrap up the Forged in the Baron season.
Yeah, and so there's the free agents post to look forward to. There's also the captain posts. If
Yes.
you're someone who doesn't necessarily want to put themselves out there in free agent land, you can always DM the captains. There's going to be a bunch of captains putting out those posts in the recruitment and sub needs channel as well. So free agents, recruitments, and sub needs, going to see a lot of activity there in the next few days, just
Of
because
course.
those series are opening up.
Yeah, and
Hell
I'm
yeah.
interested to see, because we've seen how many legacy captains we have, and we've seen how many pros captains we have. I'm very curious to see how the other numbers kind of play out with 24 legacy captains, which is a lot of captains. And in pro series, we have there's like 18 captains in pro. So that's
Wow.
that's a lot. That's the most, I believe, the most pro. No, I think we had more one season.
22 is the most amount of
22 is the
captains we've
most
had.
in pro. Yeah. So that season's gonna play out a lot like I believe this season of Legacy did.
And I keep talking about all this interesting stuff that's going to happen. Another interesting thing that is going to happen tomorrow is no pros here and vote of some confidence are over the 1850 PR limit. And if Skittles wins, I believe that puts Blast over that threshold as well, which means those teams are disbanding.
Yeah.
Assuredly.
There will definitely be a bunch of teams that will be disbanding and other teams will be formed. Um, just as happens in THL. PR caps you get over the PR cap. And so you have to make a new team. The PR player rating cap being 1,850 PR among your 5 players. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I know there's probably already some great teams out there. And we'll see those at the reveal when we see the captain. But we'll see the captains all get revealed. But yeah, you're right. There's gonna be a bunch of teams, including like even the Hot Zilfs is gonna be making a change. I'm not sure if they went over cap or not, but they've already kind of said that they have to make a change for next season. So some of these championship teams generally have to disband because there's just not enough PR. They have too much PR because they kept winning. But yeah, I have
Defias Brotherhood, Standard THL Degenerates, Hot Zilfs. They were all over the 1850 cap as well. Even by 4 points, Bank Yugi's fan club was over. So
yeah, wow. I mean that team always plays kind of close to cap. I mean even Orcs S Morks, we might have gone under cap, but we were pretty close at the beginning of the season. So we do have the players in Battling Friends, so we will get the bans very shortly, and we will have our final match, Skittles versus your Mumked, to decide the Hero Series champions for season 15. Once the bans all come in, these two guys will take it away, and you'll just see me clicking a bunch of buttons to make sure that this match goes by well.
thank you everyone for sticking with us so far. Very interested to see what these bans are, because this will tell us a lot about what the decks are going to be as well.
Yeah, it'll give us a good sense of the direction that this is all going in. Probably maybe what decks we'll be seeing as leadoffs for both players.
Yeah, that being said, if there is going to be that Primordial Druid and then the banning the opposing possibly token Druid, do you have a deck that you think you would want to run first, or?
Well, if I'm your Mumked, and I think he's going for the strategy that you might expect, which is probably banning Warrior, then I would say probably lead off with either Druid or Shaman. Go with the aggressive strategy to because basically right now I think his ban is going to be either Druid or Warrior. I think Shaman and, assuming he brought Token Druid, are going to be good to really bring the aggressiveness against Demon Hunter and Priest against Skittles. Skittles, on the other hand, I think based on his lineup, would probably ban Shaman, because of the aggressiveness, against Druid, against Demon Hunter, against Priest. I think that's probably the deck he would be the most concerned about, but that's just that's just what I'm seeing here. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I have the bans.
All right, what do we got?
So your Mumked has gone with a Warrior ban against Skittles, like you mentioned,
All right,
Skittles went with my thought, which was ban Druid. So he has banned the Druid. He does not want to see I guess he doesn't want to see Token or Primo Druid, or even the newer Druid decks that have been popularized.
I was gonna say there's a validity to banning Druid over Shaman, simply for the fact that you'll have enough of an idea of what to expect from Shaman, regardless of what variant is brought. Druid kind of leaves a few variables open.
Sure.
Okay, I'm really sorry, Fish. I know you said you wanted to get to bed earlier. You have work tomorrow, but there are two priests still left.
Oh no, I'm not getting to bed anytime soon. That's
Join the
fine.
club, buddy.
I fully committed to this, so we're good.
We all did.
No worries. Like, I'll get extra sleep tomorrow. No problem.
I got work tomorrow too. Yeah. I feel you, buddy. I do.
So
I mean, same, but my sleep schedule is going to be the same regardless.
I mean, probably same, but I wanted to give myself a chance to fall asleep earlier. So yeah, I have sent the players on their way, so we can get this started. We have Skittles will be on the bottom of our screens. He will be first to spectate, and then your Mumkid will be on the top. So, gonna wait for the eyeballs if they're not already up. They are not
I'm
up
not
yet.
seeing them yet.
No eyeballs
Yeah.
yet, but we will get them up when they come. And
Oh wait, I see. Nope, not. Never mind.
Okay. Being that this is the Tavern Talk group here, I am going to make a prediction. I predict that Skittles is bringing Primo Druid. That's what I think we're going to see. But I mean,
that would make a lot of sense if you
my
wanted
predictions
to
are usually
ban
wrong.
Druid. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I don't. The only reason I would say that he did not bring Primordial Druid is because I feel like that leaves him a bit too open to either Shaman or Druid. So maybe he does want to kind of have a bit more of a well-rounded lineup.
Mhm.
Considering Priest and Demon Hunter are. Well, I mean, I maybe he brought Death Rattle Demon Hunter, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought OTK since Lotus brought that.
I mean, it's also possible that he's just trying to win in the long term. That he doesn't care about the individual games. Doesn't really think he's going to sweep your Mumkid, and is bringing the Primo Druid. It's just like Warriors here. Okay, Primo Druid counter, and then continue on my way. Get countered back with
They
Shaman.
have started, and it's going to be your Mumkid is going to be leading with Priest, and Skittles is going to be leading with Druid. And I'll be honest with you, you know what, Geranium, it looks like you called it right. Wow. And your Mumkid is playing the Cthulhu. My goodness. But this could be really good for Skittles. He actually has a very strong opening right now. This is everything you want in a Clown Druid opener, minus the only downside I see is that he's drawn 3 of the 5 to 6 beasts that are in his deck, so that could be a little problematic, but...
So now the question is this Priest going to get their Soul Mirror by the time that the clowns come out, and then are they going to use the Raised Dead to revive those clowns? Because that is a big way for Priest to stay in. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
So I mean, we don't see the Soul Mirror yet. We don't see the Raised Deads yet from your Mumkid. I mean, there's a Raised Dead, as I was saying.
Wow.
Actually, wait a second. This Venomous Scorpion is really putting on a clinic.
This is pretty much what now all that Skittles can do is play the
I think this is going to be Pounce. I think it's going to be Pounce to combo with this 5/4 that is currently on board. To
no, he goes for the Overgrowth.
Okay.
The runner could be very helpful here, but at this point, I think he's just going to hope that your Mumkid plays another minion. Oh, that's rough.
Ooh.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That is the one card you never want to see in this matchup.
And I think that might actually just be the end of the game.
Well, he can actually clear off the Scorpid, but the fact that he's going to have to put in more resource than he would like is kind of unfortunate. Your Mumkid's playing this perfectly by recognizing that if he doesn't play any other minions, he can just keep hitting down with the Scorpid, and Skittles isn't really going to have an answer.
Yeah. In order to actually clear the Scorpid this turn, it would have to be...
Oh, yeah, never
Lake
mind. He doesn't
Thresher.
have it.
Lake Thresher, and Animated Broomstick, and Lunar Eclipse, and Hero Power, and...
no, he doesn't actually have enough mana. I was wrong about that.
And you'd have to use the coin in addition... Or sorry, the Innervate in addition to even get that. So, it's definitely not looking clean.
I think you take the Ruin here for the possible clowns later on.
Or even just
pretty comfortably.
Or even just another answer to more stealth nonsense. I mean, Ruin is extremely good in the matchup versus clowns, just because you can sort of have a one-sided board clear for rather low mana.
Insight gets... Oh. He's main decking the Cleric of Ash.
And the Cleric of Anshi is a great pickup here, especially because it'll allow your Mumkid to sort of get through the deck and get to that Soul Mirror a little bit quicker.
Oh, wow. Survival
Okay.
is actually great.
Honestly,
Honestly,
never mind. Yeah,
you could make the argument that one of the downsides to the Narrow right now is once it comes up, that's exactly the extra minion that Skittles needs to kind of put the Thresher in without having to attack into the Scorpid with it.
precisely.
So that's, yeah.
Feel the sun bear down upon you.
Oh, wow.
And here the Cleric, I mean, I have Cthulhu actually. Just put on the pressure. Not the pick here.
I
But
think
we can really see this Druid's health total go down very quickly.
Right. Like, there's not a ton of burst here, obviously, but it's relevant damage all the same. But that being said, I don't think that Skittles has to worry about dying before he can pull off some kind of nice combo.
Yeah, I mean, Skittles might worry a little bit about a Nightmare since there's now 2 cards from this Archdruid Neralex in hand. But we don't see it, of course.
I wonder if he's playing 5 or 6 people in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten through 3 of the usual 4 suspects, but Moonfang is also a very common ad, and so I would not be surprised to see that.
That is a relevant top deck, and I think he's going to play it. Yep, it's looking like it. Oh man, if he actually hits, there's a 1 out of 3 chance that he just puts himself in an amazing spot. Does he get the broomstick or does he get one of the threshers? He gets one of the threshers.
Wow.
But that's he's still positioning that perfectly because now look at its stats. I mean,
I mean, we can kill it.
He can kill it, but it's not going to be ideal.
It's really, really terrible.
It's rough.
So, I mean, you can do Animated Broomstick, Lake Thresher, plus your Lunar Eclipse to both kill the Mutinous and kill the Venomous Scorpid with a hero power, but you're still very, very far behind, and now you've used a lot of good resources.
Yeah, Skittles is going to have to just hope that Guardian Animal's next turn is really going to prove to be a big swing for him.
So I mean, with this too, the Lake Thresher is Lake Thresher getting used means that is the last Lake Thresher, which in turn means that your Rumkid can kind of make a board if he wants to with Priest. If he can just sort of spread out and develop some threats, we can see from Skittles that he just doesn't have the answers.
Yeah, I think actually what he might do here is, just Alex Graza. Just put on that additional pressure. Like, this is a chance for him to really be proactive here.
He saw the answer wasn't there from Skittles last turn with the large minion, so here's just another large minion.
Yep.
And so here we might see the Shadow Word Ruin, quite honestly.
It's a good opportunity. It's tough because he doesn't, I'm sure in certain ways he doesn't want to play it right now. Actually, you know what? I don't think he's going to play it. I think he's going to play...
Double Dream?
No, I think he's going to play Hysteria. Wait, does he not have the Shadow Word Death? No, no, he already used it, right? No. No, he didn't have a Shadow Word Death. I thought he did. No. You know what? I'm thinking maybe he'll Hysteria, and if the Mordresh is still remaining, he can just dream it. But it at least gives him the opportunity to clear the board either way, you know? I think he really wants to hold on to the Ruin unless he absolutely has to play it.
Yeah. So my thinking is that I want to still develop pressure and develop this skeletal dragon, and for that, it would be Dream, Holy Smite skeletal dragon. Um, or Shadow Ruin skeletal dragon as well. Both of those work the similar way.
That does work out. Admittedly. Oh wow, and he gets a Deathwing, which, funny enough, is technically an out to the bounds. Oh, this is so unfortunate.
Oh
Yep.
God, Skittles getting the Twilight Runner is
draws the Twilight
worst.
Runner, and that would have been so huge if he didn't draw it, because it would have allowed him to draw some additional cards. But now, oh.
And additionally, we see this thick hide Kodo attack against more aggressive decks. We see it much worse than Moonfang in this situation. Moonfang would trade against the Skeletal Dragon and still leave behind a huge booty to then contest.
Yeah.
And yeah, with this Dream, it's just about curtains. We can see Raise Dead, even heal your own face, Cleric of Anshi to possibly draw the out here, or just
Nope,
or just house. Yeah.
That'll do it. Your Mumkid takes game 1 with some very unfortunate draws from Skittles in terms of his Primordial Druid. I think that was just like, he had some good draws. Don't get, obviously, he was able to make that big board, but he was just put in a tough spot. The Guardian Animals was never, the Guardian Animals fizzled out at the worst possible time, and your Mumkid just had all of the ideal priest removal that you kind of tend to expect from these priest matchups.
Yeah, I mean, additionally, your Mumkid queued the best possible deck against the Primordial Druid. I don't necessarily think that his other decks necessarily line up all that well. I mean, Shaman could have that early pressure against it, but the Priest just has the game plans against Primordial Druid, and those weren't as affected by the nerfs.
Also true, but we are seeing that Skittles does have an ideal counter here. That he is bringing, in fact, the Death Rattle Demon Hunter and not OTK in the way Lotus Knight did, which could end up working out very nicely for him here, because he's got a very solid opening hand. He's got that that Death Rattle engine of sorts, where he's going to be able to just keep applying pressure to the board. Your Mumkid does have a pretty decent hand right now, and that Soul Mirror could easily be a huge swing later in the game. But for right now, he's just kind of slowly building stuff up.
Yeah, I think this Death Rattle Demon Hunter being out means that Shaman is probably coming out from your Mumkid very soon, and if Shaman does end up winning that matchup, I think that your Mumkid is very well poised. Shaman, if it's an aggressive Shaman against Priest.
Yeah. We see also that Skittles is main decking the I-Beam, which is has been a pretty interesting tech we've seen, just because the deck doesn't really have much or anything in the form of life gain. So I guess I-Beam can arguably be very powerful in this deck.
Yeah, so actually, I-Beam is more of a note that it is a Death Rattle Demon Hunter also running an OTK package. So we're probably also going to see an Il'gynoth. We're probably also going to see just a few of those pieces with the Death Rattle elements meant to get through the deck a lot faster.
Now, this is also a really good chance for Skittles to corrupt his Executioner into the weapon, which we've kind of seen is just a great way to just apply some extra damage over several turns. We also see here that he's going to coin out the Tusk Piercer, which will, of course, get him more Death Rattles, another Death Rattle minion next turn.
Yeah, the Felsteel Executioner getting corrupted is definitely a headache for Priest, as their head keeps getting hit by your 4-attack weapon. It's a very, very strong card from the Demon Hunter arsenal. And a choice. I mean, you can see Oppo still being run, even though it's nerfed. Still very important for Priest in many matchups.
Absolutely. There's nothing about the card that made it so that it shouldn't be played. It's just not quite as ridiculous as it once was. But being able to give a minion lifesteal, especially if it has a lot of power at its disposal, oh, absolutely fantastic.
And here, I mean, we see the Death Speaker Blackthorn drawn, going to be a huge power swing on turn 7, but then immediately answered by the Soul Mirror that we see is in your Mumket's hand. Ooh, and
This
of
is
these 3 pieces,
I feel like he probably goes for the Malagos here. You know,
I was
there's
there's quite a few different options. I mean, the Sleepy Dragon was also, if he puts his opponent on the big green men strategy, Sleepy Dragon just as a large block a game swing worked out.
I mean, it's fair. I do think, though, the biggest problem with Sleepy Dragon here is that there's no, like, great way to deal with it, per se. Oh, boy, getting that's rough. That's extremely rough for Skittles.
And
But
the
I think
I-beam
the
is
Sleepy Dragon,
not doing any favors.
I think the Sleepy Dragon, Skittles could have played around it to some degree. But Malagos is great because, obviously, being able to get a bunch of card advantage from it is absolutely fantastic here. So now the question is, what is Skittles going to do to get himself out of this? Because he's very much in a tough spot.
Yeah. We see maybe a little bit misordered here with the attacks. Could have healed for 6 here, but it's fine. Cleared off the big 7/10 minion, and really just hoping to draw probably a big green man next turn.
Right. He's going to play the Malagos. He is going to overdraw next turn, unfortunately, but, he's still in a pretty good spot overall.
Your Mumket overdrawing should probably just concede. Also, unfortunately, I missed hero power, so missing 1 damage.
Right.
A little sloppy, but at this point, because the Priest is just so far ahead, 1 damage here, 1 damage there probably isn't going to matter all that much.
No, probably not. It's, Priest is just proving to be extremely frustrating. And I'll be honest, not to be that guy, but this is exactly why I find that the nerfs were important. A lot of people feel like, oh, I can't play around Priest, so therefore it's like, it's like there's no reason it really needs to be banned, but it's like, it's just it feels very uninteractive at times, For a class that has all this different removal and all these different answers, and it feels like you're often powerless to do anything about it.
Yes, Priest is very well able to set up those board states where you just can't. You just can't do what you wanted to do. You just are facing down a 3/9 Venomous Scorpion. You're just facing down a large lifesteal dragon.
You've made this big board, and then suddenly the Priest is able to combat it through some combination of cards. That's what's also very interesting about it. It doesn't necessarily need to rely on one card, but it's got just such a set of tools that will allow it to adapt to various situations.
Now, the big question here is this Priest that Skittles is running teched for possibly the Priest matchup? Some Priests do end up running some of this, more this N'Zoth package, and runs the South Sea Scoundrel in order to try and fatigue the opponent a little bit more, which may be harder with the Cthulhu, but definitely an option if you're thinking you're going to be facing the Priest not banning it.
Absolutely. Well, we see here that Skittles is obviously running more of an N'Zoth control list, whereas your Mumkit is going for the Cthulhu. So in theory, that could work to his advantage, but it's really just both decks are going to kind of aim for similar strategies as far as developing the board and developing the board, and in terms of going for going for the kill. So I think that if whoever's able to kind of develop a big board and really do something about it, do something about the opposing players' plays, will probably be the one that comes out on top. But we'll have to see what happens because this is a tough matchup to play, specifically with the scoundrels here because the priest has these, like you can give them a lot of things that are helpful to you and helpful to them. So it's a tough call.
Yes.
Personally, if
So-
I were Skittles, I'd probably take the insight. Yep, that's what he ends up doing.
So this right now, Skittles is very much trying to fatigue your Mumked and get him all the way down, which means that burning that cocoon piece is so extremely important. So it is definitely in your Mumked's field here to make sure that he does not end with 9 or 10 cards, because then these South Sea Scoundrels are going to read your opponent no longer can Cthulhu you. And especially with the Raised Dead in Skittles' hand, just drawing card after card from your Mumked, going to now take advantage of this almost full hand.
I'm actually surprised that Skittles didn't go for the Scoundrels here because this would have been an opportunity to burn a card.
Well, another way that Priest can win is just by having more tempo in sort of the mid game. We do see, of course, that the Power Word Fortitude is in your Mumked's hand, and so that's going to be one of the main answering or main ways to answer this South Sea Scoundrel tempo line. But it's not getting removed this turn, most likely, which means the power infusion as well on the South Sea Scoundrel is going to be quite a large threat. So one aspect of this priest versus priest matchup where you're trying to fatigue the cocoon pieces away is that priest's large amount of card generation is actually a little bit of a downside because having such a full hand means that the South Sea Scoundrel is going to now mill cards instead of just drawing them for both teams. And now there's the Wave of Apathy going to allow this Venomous Scorpid to get a better trade.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, South Sea Scoundrel. South Sea Scoundrel Central.
Yep.
Because we're drawing so many cards out of the opponent's deck, it also means that the insights aren't as bad as before, since your opponent starts with more because of Cthulhu, but with this many South Sea Scoundrels, we are going to be ahead of them, or better than them in fatigue.
Yeah. And having that Raised Dead
Yes.
at this point means, he's likely to get at least one of them once it's used.
He can almost guarantee to get both of them. It depends on how he plays it.
Very true. Ooh, Swamp Ooze, unfortunately not going to be useful in this matchup.
Well, we do see a shaman on the opponent's team. So,
I mean, right. It's like that will be extremely helpful in other matchups, but not quite here. And doesn't
That's
even
very
have to
interesting
play
to
the
play.
Scoundrel. Interesting. I am very curious as to the reasoning behind that, because this is probably going to be as good as it gets to play it, get him to, is he waiting to make sure he can burn something? Hoping your Mumked will end a turn with 10 cards in hand? Because if so, that's very fascinating to me.
I don't think your Mumked's going to slip up like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very
It's a very big assumption to make, for sure. And that is an ouch. Your Mumkid is going to clear that scoundrel pretty effectively.
Feel the sun bear down
Yep, and
upon you.
here, I mean, it was a win condition for Priest to get ahead on board and just win on tempo, and that's exactly what your Mumkid is doing in response to these South Seas.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe the not playing the South Seas is evidence of Banana Priest. There is a somewhat, much more counter Priest variant that also runs the Banana Vendor to give your opponent bananas to fail their hand. Oh,
My hand is full.
that's so important.
Hello there.
Never mind. Screw what I was saying. That is
Yeah. So Skittles
that
basically got exactly what he wanted, which was to burn a piece of Cthulhu, and he did. So now your Mumkid has to rely on winning without that combo. Now, to be fair, he's in a pretty decent spot, but the longer this game goes on, the more it's going to favor Skittles. Like you said before, Geranium, Skittles is looking to bring this into fatigue.
Yeah, and with an extra Soul Mirror from your Mumkid's deck, it's a lot easier. So now it really just comes down to your Mumkid needs to draw the Draconic Studies that Skittles has drawn. Needs to get basically as much large minion pressure as possible in order to sort of contest.
I feel like he just takes the insight here. Like, the Cthulhu pieces aren't as useful, sure, but the insight is what will thin out the decks a bit.
But the insight is even less useful for your opponent, and this is another mill, so you can just mill another mill of Cthulhu or
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the beauty of being able to play. Oh, another
got
piece
it
burned.
anyways.
He's just, oh man. You know, I'll gotta admit, it may be a priest mirror, but this is a very interesting priest mirror to watch.
Yeah, and it's maybe a little bit hard to believe, but your Mumkid started with 3 more cards than Skittles did in his deck, and now has 3 fewer cards, just because of all of this draw.
Yep.
I wonder.
And if these 2 South Sea Scoundrels get cleared, we're probably going to see another Raised Dead. We're probably going to see 2 more Scoundrels. We're probably going to see, oh my god, so many milled cards.
Shenanigans, man. Shenanigans.
No master.
This Runaway Blackwing actually puts a little bit of pressure on. We might see a Raised Dead followed by the Soul Mirror, making sure we get the South Sea Scoundrels and then just clear off the board.
The only issue I take with that play is your Mumkid knows that Skittles has the Soul Mirror in hand. So it's not a bad time to play it, but considering it is your entire turn, you know.
Yeah, it's also possible you take more of a. Oh no, it is actually just that. We could have possibly seen if we could survive just a little bit, and then there's the option of playing Apotheosis on our opponent's Runaway Blackwing before doing Soul Mirror. That gains us absolutely a ton of life, clears off the entire board as well, but don't need to. And here, Skittles, only on 11 life. The pressure that your Mumkid put on earlier is mounting up. That's pretty much the only way your Mumkid is going to win is by continuing this pressure line. And because there's no Light Shower Elemental that this N'Zoth can get back, that means that Skittles doesn't have large defensive options.
No, your Mumkid recognizes that the best thing he can do is make sure Skittles doesn't have anything that sticks.
Yeah. I think fingering this height, it's great to possibly draw the light shower. See muteness instead.
Ooh. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize that there. Well, actually, oh no, he does have the Samuro he can hit,
One for me.
but I don't think he needs to play it just yet.
So actually,
No time.
maybe a little bit unwittingly. Oh, that Devouring Plague was absolutely necessary. Because right now your Mumkin is, I believe, it's 2 off lethal. I'm going to recount that.
He's got the buff from Fortitude.
It's 3 off lethal, looks like.
Yes.
He's got Power, Fortitude, and he's got 1 Apotheosis in hand.
5 plus 8 plus an additional 4 damage, 12. Yes, he has 3 off lethal. You are correct about that.
So yeah, the Devouring Plague, absolutely necessary. Now though, we've got 2 Mutinesses. Both of them 5 mana. Will one eat the other and perform some self stuff? Or chomping on a N'Zoth is also very good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. That is rough.
So, kind of need to draw the Soul Mirror a little bit, or Hysteria. Yeah? Okay, off the top.
Okay, now that is actually potentially huge. It all depends on how these trades go. That's good. That's really good.
That's it.
Full clear. Wow.
That is precisely what Skittles needed. It's not over yet, of course.
It's not. But this could be a huge start, because now Skittles has a better chance of getting his board, of getting something to stick, knowing he's got 3 Apotheosis in hand, and the Power Infusion, which will just increase it.
Oh my god, and Sethic too?
Yep, and this is as good as it gets right now, because your Mumkin could have cleared the board, cleared the minion if he really wanted to utilize some resources, but he decides not to, and he's going to get punished for it, because as we see, this is going to be quite a swing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Soul Mirror. We know, Skittles knows at least, that there is a Soul Mirror in hand.
Oh, wow.
But, well, another random Soul Mirror.
I think he should have played the Desperate Prayer before he attacked, just for that extra heal.
The Desperate Prayer could be used with a Zyrella to clear a extremely messy board later, but...
Okay, that's actually fair.
This Mutinous, I wonder if it's going to be saved to work with the South Sea Scoundrel. If, South Sea Scoundrel, draw the opponent a large minion, and then immediately play Mutinous on the backswing.
It's crazy enough to work. Oh, that's hilarious.
That is such perfect.
To quote Frieza from Dragon Ball Z Bridge, okay, hacks. I call hacks.
Yeah, so this is something that I mentioned extremely as a joke when the nerf, it's a nerf to Apotheosis was announced. But yeah, Apotheosis can now be used to set up and against the odds. Because it only does one, you can change the even to odd.
Pretty nuts.
And
just like that, Skittles is turning the tide. Trying desperately to keep Blast alive in this series and ultimately the playoffs. Championship.
You don't take
So
the
your mom kid
walks.
missing out on 3 extra health there. Not a absolutely huge deal, but will definitely become more and more of a problem once we get to. I mean, there's only 8 cards left in deck for your mom kid. Soon to be 7 with his South Sea Scoundrel.
One for me, one for you.
Let's see.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You go for the Scorpid there.
Yeah, we could use some more spell generation.
Lucia! Oh my goodness.
Okay, so Lucia definitely there for more of the OTK Demon Hunter matchup, but it could end up getting some of the resources out of Skill's hand. We see that the Alexstrasza not quite discounted enough. But I mean, another Soul Mirror for your mom kid. This is Soul Mirror Central in what is, as always, a long Priest Mirror.
Are we done yet? Are we done yet? Well, at
Don't
this
worry.
point, your mum kid is trying to keep himself alive, trying to see what he can do now that the Cthulhu play is totally out the window.
Yeah. I mean, he is 6 cards behind of Skittles here. He has 5 cards left. Skittles has 11. Very quickly approaching fatigue. We haven't seen, all of the value generation from your mum kid, but we've seen and eating the Elucia just to rub the salt.
I mean, it gets the job done.
Yeah, Cleric of Anshi, not what you want to see when you're getting fatigued, because it just draws you even more cards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can see the Acera Awakens, we can see maybe playing the Surface Amalgam out, but then when the next large minion, this Alexstrasza, comes out from Skittles, there is not going to be an answer. Or at least a clean one.
Oh. Well. Ooh, that Nightmare combined with Samuro could be pretty huge, though.
The problem with Nightmare is that it kills the minion. You want your minions to stick.
Right, but if he wants that, like, big board, that big swing to clear a big board, that's exactly what he's going to want in this case.
And, if Alex is coming soon, that is exactly what
Yes,
your mom
but
kid
how?
will need. Something clear. So, looks like we have an unnerfed Renew in hand. Very interesting.
Heh.
None can hide from the light.
And we see he's going to Holy Nova and Holy Smite in order to get rid of the Circus Amalgam.
We have seen 2 Apotheoses out of your mum kid, but it is still a good idea to just ensure that you have the board.
And there is
Thank
the
you.
Light Shower Elemental, which now isn't even so useful since he's at 30 life.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, going to be useful if we see Skittles even reach fatigue. We might see a concession before that.
Definitely possible.
And here, I mean, we kind of need to see something that generates more options. So probably the 6-mana 4/7 is the best one for us to have found, but Sleepy Dragon is just not enough, especially when we're facing a large poisonous Scorpion.
I am almost out of cards.
And we see Skittles is not going to develop the board any further for now. He is just going to focus on hitting with this 4/8 Scorpion.
I mean, he
Which-
knows.
Yeah.
He knows there's very few generated cards on your Mumkid's side. He knows that it's up to your Mumkid to clear this 4/8. He doesn't want to, develop anything else and possibly have a Hysteria or a Samuro clear, because Samuro will die and not get to proc its frenzy effect on the Scorpion. And yeah, forcing out the Soul Mirror is very valuable.
Yeah, the Soul Mirror can be so crucial in a Priest Mirror, knowing that, like, you may need that to deal with the impending board at the
Feel the
moment.
sun bear down upon you.
Ooh, an interesting option, using Nightmare and Hysteria. A lot of different resources, but not your most important Soul Mirror resource.
Unfortunately, your Mumkid is just very low on cards right now, and Skittles is not running out anytime soon.
The path is clear for the worthy.
Yeah, it's really just a waiting room for Skittles. Your Mumkid has to clear every single thing, every single turn, and eventually he will not be able to heal enough, and we'll just Alex to win the game.
Yeah, this game seems like a foregone conclusion, but I'm glad they're trying to put all the effort they can into winning it.
Yeah, so how do you feel about the upcoming expansion? Lots of interesting stuff to talk about during this match.
Well, I'm excited for the new mechanic. Excited for the new cards. The thing that I feel like has really helped a lot over the past few years is the new expansions definitely bring something new to the table to really make you feel like there's something new to expect in terms of meta, even if there's still going to be kind of the same amount of decks at the top like what we've often noticed in the past.
What knowledge do the stars provide?
Yeah, I'm very excited for Tradable. Just the amount of options that it opens up in deck building, gameplay, is going to be very fun to experiment with.
Oh, agreed. And in a certain way, it feels like cycling for Magic the Gathering. Not quite the same thing, but it feels a little similar.
And speaking of cycling, it looks like your Mumkid is spiraling down the drain here. One more turn, and then we'll see, I believe, the end.
I mean, at this point, he might as well just play Alexstrasza. There won't be anything else that won't be anything that your Mumkid can do about it. So.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to see the tech cards. We do get to see that there is an Elucia in this priest.
Absolutely. Getting just kind of an overall better glimpse into their decks and how they built them. Now, of course, Skittles still has to rely on winning with the priest 2 more times, and your Mumkid just needs 1 more game win. He's gonna have 2 chances, and he needs to just win one of them to give MPH the championship. And it's gonna be Priest versus Warrior.
I will light the way.
I definitely like Skittles' hand right now. Your Mumkid tosses back all of his cards and gets a okay-ish hand. It's very awkward having both of the Tent Trashers in so early. That definitely gives you less targets with Draconic Study. Less targets with Watley. and we're noticing he doesn't really have much in terms of early game options.
Just keep moving.
So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah. In the past, Rush Warrior definitely didn't do as well into Priest, unless they had a lot of the sort of late game packages like Battle Gore. But Priest nerf now. We'll see if that is going to allow your mom kid, maybe just one extra turn here or there in order to actually clinch it out. But palm reading central over here.
Yeah, this is like a tough call, but he ultimately does go with the palm read.
Yeah.
I'm not too young to fight.
I feel like
Rikara trade, maybe not first. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say order Mr. Milan, order.
And unfortunately, South Sea Scoundrel definitely not going to be nearly as good in the matchups against Shaman and Warrior here. May still see it played, but it is not so much a fatigue staple as it needs to be against Priest.
Now, what does he do for follow-up is the question.
Yeah. Looking at the threats that are coming later from your mum kid, I mean, Troublemaker is always an all-star against Priest. But we have the Shadow Word Death, we have the Shadow Word Ruin as well. Just lots of different options to deal with the board that is going to be coming out from your mum kid. And I think with this slowing down of the
Oh my
hand,
goodness.
it is.
Oh, he draws the Rune Thack. That could be pretty huge, especially considering he's got the conditioning in hand. Yep, he's going to be playing that. He's going to coin out the Tent Trasher.
Very big. Forces. Oh, and Holy Smite draw is
That is a nice
an
draw.
answer.
I think he takes the Sword Eater.
I mean, actually, Bumper Car isn't necessarily that bad. It deals with the 7/1 right now, and gives a little bit of extra pings to maybe deal with the Troublemaker later, or just clean up part of the board that Mumkin develops. It even actually, now thinking about it, the Mutinous gets countered just a tiny bit by those little 1/1s.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, actually, the Sword Eater is definitely going to do a lot better into this Overlord run back. So I'm going to agree with your initial thought there.
And there's that Swamp Root that he can use as soon as the Sword Eater is played. So pretty nice stuff there. Pretty nice.
Oh my god, Soul Mirror. Saw it do so much work in the Priest Mirror, and now against Warrior it will do just as much.
Yeah, Soul Mirror, especially in this matchup, is pretty huge. We've seen how one of the most useful aspects of it is a Troublemaker board is created, and you can use it to clear their Troublemakers and their Troublemaker 3/3s and the Troublemaker itself, which is just a huge swing turn, and a huge shift in momentum, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to see whether your mum kid plays scared and doesn't develop this Troublemaker just on the threat of Soul Mirror. And at this current stage of the game, being that Skittles is sort of dictating the pace of it, I kind of feel like Priest might win every single game this match.
It's certainly plausible. Oh my.
Oh, and a Psyche split might be.
Ooh, this is so tempting. Um,
You could Psyche split
I
and
think,
also
yeah,
Shadow
I
or
think
Death.
you might want to actually just Psyche split and then Shadow or Death the Tent Trasher, but okay, he's gonna go for the Raised Dead.
Totally reasonable.
No time.
Yeah. Still gonna do pretty much everything he wants to do, which is clear the board, play the ooze to clear the weapon.
Yeah, I think it might have been better to do Ooze and then Hysteria and save the Shadow or Death, just because there's quite a few large threats that you're going to see from the opposing side, especially once they conditioning. And yeah, this is one of them. I mean, now we have to use our Shadow Word Ruin, even if we didn't want to.
Well, you can actually use the Soul Mirror. There are options there, so it's a tough call.
Well,
Shadow
yeah,
Word
Soul
Ruin,
Mirror
though,
is just
is obvious. Honestly, I think he is going to Soul Mirror. I guess he wants to save the Shadow Word Ruin to make a scenario where he can kill him, which is pretty fair.
yeah. I mean, you know, he does still have the Shadow Word Ruin to deal with the Troublemaker, but I just think Soul Mirror is so good against Troublemaker that it is better to
No,
keep.
I agree. I think it was probably better to save it for that, but I mean, he's going to have an answer for it either way.
Here for a good time.
One just happens to be better than the
For
other.
a good time.
Yeah.
And that Watley, I'm trying to think, is that going to get anything else from his deck?
In this
It's
case,
definitely
he
not gonna
can.
get Dragon.
In this case, he can almost do Wave of Apathy Hysteria and full clear. It is just a little bit off. I mean, Focus Bow could do it, but I mean, Palm Reading is just such a good card. That's probably mine.
I guess he just wanted to guarantee the additional. Thinking about Shadow Word ruining right here.
So yeah, with Wave of Apathy, we can deal Wave of Apathy into Hysteria. We can deal
Yes.
6 damage to this
how?
Troublemaker, just attacking into the Ruffians. And then with the Dark Moon Riders, we can fully clear it and a swing from our weapon.
Right.
Yes.
I think, yeah, if you're going to play Shadow Word Ruin, at least play the one that costs more. You're not going to do much more other than maybe play Sword Eater this round.
Yeah. He does ultimately accomplish what he wants, which is clearing that large Troublemaker. And he does still have the other Shadow Word Ruin if Duncan into developing another large board. And we see him now play the Watley, which is going to get him another Sword Eater and another bumper car. So that's pretty solid. And he's also going to play the Stage Dive, which gets him a buffed Crab Rider.
Yeah. So this Acidic Swamp Ooze kept in hand, gonna clear the weapon from the Sword Eater. But it's the rest of the threats in your own kid's hand that really need to put in the work here. Not the best options. I mean, we could take Malagos and just say, you know, we're already ahead in Fatigue. We can just get some more options.
Right. Especially in this matchup, it's not as problematic for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we also have another South Sea Scoundrel later on.
For a good time.
Oh, and choosing instead to possibly mill a card, but rather to draw one extra. So I think your mum kid's plan could be to set up an imprisoned Ganarg now along with the Sword Eater. Sure, your acidic swamp boost takes out your weapon, but you start applying the pressure to your opponent's face, and your Alex in hand can possibly clean that up.
Yeah, I think the tough part is he knows like he's having an uphill battle. He just has to try to maximize his resources the best he can.
I just don't know what else your mum kid is really searching for here.
My blade.
Of course, now he's got a buffed up Samuro to try to remedy the situation even further, but that's a big Malagos, obviously. So he's going to need that Blood Word as well to take care of that. Which he does.
Yeah. I mean, Hysteria will clear this up, unfortunately. Also, holding the imprisoned Ganarg is very interesting. It does represent a for sure weapon. Maybe he does want to just wait to play alongside the Sword Eater, make sure that it goes weapon into, once that weapon goes away, another weapon immediately.
Exactly.
And
no, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I was just going to say basically the same thing that you were going to say probably, which is, Apotheosis was nerfed, so we wouldn't have to see this. But big heal swing turns from Priest, as usual.
My goodness, and now coming back in with the Samuro.
Yeah,
Continuing to gain some important life, and there's the Mutinous back with the Raise dead. Oh, this is huge. Is he gonna get that Alexstrasza? No, he does not.
So, I mean, relevant threats left in your Mumked's deck that are very few. There's the Alexstrasza, which we see in hand. There's another conditioning, I guess. Another troublemaker. That's kind of it.
What's especially relevant, though, is that you'll notice that by getting the Sword Eater, that was the one card besides Alexstrasza that could have prevented
As the cycle of life is
that would put the Mutinous out of range. So it's pretty important. Because Alexstrasza could have used its effect to take it out otherwise. And now we find ourselves, and now Skittles instead finds himself really forcing your mum kid to fight for his life, get extra scrappy, but he's in a pretty solid spot.
I mean, yeah, Apotheosis here is absolutely insane. Just going to basically full heal and allows Zyrella to just clear everything.
He's just like, I don't need the Master Mukul. I just get rid of this stupid dragon and move on. And that's exactly what he does.
That should be the end of the game, but we will see some more turns played out here just to see what kind of random generation we're going to get.
Agreed.
If it wasn't enough, the Zoth as well to revive enough of a board to kill your mum kid next turn.
Yep. And because this is Rush Warrior, there's no full. So Skittles is just in a very solid spot at the moment.
Okay, so I mean the conditioning along with the Parade Leader does allow him to kill 2 of the minions and then die. So we can see that.
I mean, yeah. That's pretty much it, right? It's like, oh, I get to do this, but you're still dead. You're still very dead.
Yeah. So this is what we have been most hyped for. It looks like we are going to go to Game 5 of the 5th match of Hero Grand Finals.
Yep. And like you said before, it's very much possible that Priest is going to win every game of this series.
Yeah, Priest
Priest
nerfed.
has been proving to be the deck shining in this particular set, and my god. It all comes down to the Shaman versus the Priest. Can your mum kid get enough early momentum to stop Skittles from stabilizing, or will Skittles be able to have all the answers he needs for the aggressiveness of your mum kid's Shaman deck?
Does look like with that Lightning Bloom, yes, this is the Doomhammer. Very aggressive Shaman deck. We'll see.
But that's an ooze.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Ooze is extremely important. We shall see if we also get the Hex minion for when the heal, the Light Shower Elemental comes out on Skittles' side.
Oh my god, that is a nasty start.
So, just setting everything up. This is the hopes and dreams of No Pros here, and Blast. We've got your Mumket representing No Pros here, and we've got Skittles representing Blast in the finals. Absolutely going to be a slobber knocker. But Arid Stormer coming down super duper early, but a Circus Amalgam answering it, essentially.
Yeah, the Amalgam is going to prove to be a big problem. I mean, obviously, as we see here, your mum kid can clear it with the Storm Strike, but that's not really something you want to use for this type of scenario.
Also, we see a Lucia in the hand of Skittles. We saw it earlier, drawn right at the end of the very first Fatigue game, but it is a surprise for your mum kid, for sure. There is so far nothing telling him that Lucia is going to be played. So possible plays from your mum kid here. I mean, the Storm Strike can be used, but it is definitely something you want to save for your weapon. So I think it's probably going to be the Serpent Shrine Portal, just develop tempo here, clear off the Circus Amalgam. I mean, you still have at least a 2-1 on your board with the Wind Fury.
What is your mum kid going to do about this?
Instead,
There's Doomhammer, but we both know how that's all going to end.
yeah, he's prepared. He's going to play the Doomhammer on 5 and get it oozed on 5. Unfortunately,
Unless does he wait to play it so that he can go Doomhammer into Lightning Bloom into Storm Strike?
yeah. So if he waits until turn 6, he can end up getting that little bit of extra burst going. But it's also quite possible that his opponent doesn't have the ooze answer immediately in hand.
Yeah, these are the situations where you have to, because what's also very worth noting here is that your mum kid knows Skittles plays ooze in this priest deck, so he has to be extremely careful as he tries to plan that.
Because here's the problem. If you end up doing that line and you Doomhammer and attack them for 10 alongside a Storm Strike and your Lightning Bloom, the problem is that Priest is probably going to heal that up. And if they use the ooze, it's you've also just wasted a Storm Strike alongside your Doomhammer. I think it is a little bit better to not have both of them played at the same time. At least then you're going to hopefully have a Doomhammer stick around that actually gets to attack multiple times, multiple turns. I'm not entirely sure that I also like the decision to Instructor Fireheart here. Because he's playing it so early, he ends up not getting as much value from the card, which he's probably going to need to combat all that the Priest is going to do to him. So, I mean, Deathmatch Pavilion is activated. It's a yellow card. Not the best, but and the but is that it gets answered pretty readily. Not enough
I
pressure
wonder.
to actually really bother Skittles all too much. So, do you think that the shaman is going to get close, or do you think it is looking somewhat wrapped up?
I think it's somewhat wrapped up. The problem is, at this point, Skittles has ways of healing himself up. He's got the ooze that was oh so huge in burning the Doomhammer, which really needs to stick around for multiple turns to really have a major impact. And I don't think that. I think basically your mom kid's only chance is, I mean, he did just draw the second Lightning Bloom, is to maybe wait for a turn to see like if he could go for a big swing at once, or he could start building up momentum now and just be like, well, if he has the Raise Dead, he's got the Raise Dead, but let's just like do what we can.
Yeah, I mean, absolute most damage that Urumked could do in one Doomhammer turn is, I guess, if he generates a 2 mana +3 attack, he can deal 28. But that's using both Lightning Blooms. That's using 3 different cards that give +3 attack and cost 2, and the Storm Strike. And even then, that's not 30. And Skittles is probably going to stay at 30.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, so here's the thing is, Skittles spots it, it's trading off the Acidic Swamp Ooze. Sure, you give your opponent some lifesteal, but now you get to remove their only other Doomhammer, and that's basically the end of the game.
Yeah, both Doomhammers have been oozed. There is obviously damage in your mom kid's deck, but he can only do so much here as far as the damage goes. In some matchups, when they have ooze, it's not necessarily a big deal, but you really needed to rely on the Doomhammers for this matchup more than most, and that just simply didn't work out.
I won't say that it's over quite yet. I mean,
No,
there's
but it's easy to point out how much more difficult of a spot your mom kid is in because both of his weapons were oozed.
yeah. Minion pressure has to be the name of the game here for your mom kit. And he is developing a suite of minions. There isn't a soul mirror in hand for Skittles. And there isn't a light shower elemental in the waiting room for this N'Zoth. So there's chances that maybe this Arid Stormer sticks around. Maybe it gets buffed, but Skittles is looking to close the door rather soon.
And slam it shut.
When he declares game over, Priest will have won every single game this set if it ends up going that way.
How nuts.
Turn up the heat!
Oh, wow. Just to add insult to injury.
Yep, and Light Shower Elemental is going to just put so much healing on Skittles' side that with N'Zoth wrong order.
No, I mean,
Doesn't matter, but
yeah.
so Agent Pewee, much earlier in the interview, said that he wanted to see Skittles get destroyed, and that was so true in the first 2 games. And now,
yeah, he was really struggling for sure.
I wonder.
really, I think the people just want to see the priest suffer, but we're not seeing that at all today.
Unfortunately.
I wonder.
So possible odds. I mean, Inara Storm Crash still on the deck. I'll say that much.
There is little time.
He's going for your mum kid. There's possibilities that he plays like he could be playing a weird version and play Alec here. Uh-oh, that's not a good sign when you're lightning blooming nothing.
Nope. You have to wonder, what is he planning? Yeah, that looks like it's pretty much it.
Okay, and that top deck does not breathe life into the situation.
Nope, I'm sure your mum kid is going to give himself another turn or two, see if he draws something that's going to help, but I'm trying to think, is there any one card he can draw that could make a difference? Nope, he's conceding. Congratulations to Skittles and the rest of the class, your new Hero Series Season 15 champions, everybody. Congratulations to them.
BLAST, that's the champs we got to see.
How long did you have that planned?
None. I just
Damn,
thought of
off the top.
That's
Let's go.
impressive.
Congrats.
But yes, we have ourselves, after an impressive reverse sweep by Skittles, they are your new champions. My goodness. What a season.
just amazing performances from every player on both teams during this
Ooh.
grand finals. Down to the
All
wire.
right,
Really had to
well-
fight for that victory. My God.
I finally get to talk to someone who I teamed with this season, who was was supposed to be on one of my teams. Due to work, he wasn't. We had to find a last second 3 seed replacement in Legacy, but I got Skittles coming for an interview. The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh my goodness.
Legend is right.
Yeah, no, like for sure. And it was a tale of two halves, and it really is showing like that this series, this whole season wrapped up kind of. Skittles, welcome. Good games and congratulations on giving your team the Hero Season 15 championship.
Hey, thanks. So
Priest won every single one of those games. What a long match.
oh yeah.
My goodness.
Your match was longer than the other 2 matches combined. Like, just I mean, obviously because
Yeah.
Priest was involved in every game, and it's, you know, the decisions are very meticulous, and and it's only fitting that both players like take their time to plan out their plays, like. So, but and you guys both did that, and it came up in your favor. I guess I kind of want to start because you knew that you had Shaman for that last game. I'm kind of wondering what you were your mindset was going into. Obviously, you just won 2 straight. So were you feeling good, or were you kind of still a bit nervous about the Doomhammer Shaman probably coming?
I was really hoping it was Doomhammer Shaman.
I was gonna say
your deck definitely looked ready for it. The double ooze, paying the ooze tax, much needed. Great job, and I mean great job finding the line to remove the second Doomhammer. Yeah.
Speaking of ooze, your decks ran so many important tech cards, and you got them in the matchups you needed them. How did you feel about, you know, running this sort of version of Priest while your opponent was running the version of Priest that was much more, you know, focused on Cthulhu, focused on just sort of stuffing out the opponent?
I'm not gonna lie to you. When he had me in game 3, priest against priest, I didn't think I was coming out of that one. With his
It
his
definitely
deck
got
running
grim at
Cthulhu,
points, for sure.
yeah, his deck running Cthulhu already gave him the edge. And then the amount of pressure he was able to mount without me being able to find any of my board removal definitely made it tougher.
Yeah.
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 That turn when you milled the Cthulhu piece, the first Cthulhu piece was so important.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
milling
yeah.
the Cthulhu piece, and see, I missed it. I looked away from my screen when you went from no health, from like almost no health to full life. Can somebody tell me what happened that turn?
Oh, it seems like an eternity ago already now.
Yeah, that was the priest versus priest mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was basically, oh my god, I'm blanking. I think you,
Sorry, if
Really
if
the,
if
the
if
big
it's too if it's
oppo.
too hard to remember, just keep moving on. It doesn't matter.
my
I
brain
think
is
I think it
blank.
was an Oppo and a Samaro, right?
I think I was
Into
in
into
the
a larger
following
board.
game.
Oh,
That
maybe.
was
Uh,
later. You went from like 13 to
yeah.
30. Thought.
So I
And
think
then
what
I saw
happened.
like a big taunty minion with lifesteal. I was like, ah.
No, so it wasn't from 13 to 30. It was from I think somewhere around like 13 to around 17.
Oh.
And then he had the Desperate Prayer in hand as well.
Oh.
That did not end up being used.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure. There's a big swing turn.
Yeah,
But
that
Yeah.
was an oppo on a big minion.
cool. Well, I mean, the even the Rush Warrior game was very close. Like it definitely kind of came down to the wire. It's so hard to remember the games. They kind of blur together when it's 12:30 a.m. for me.
Yeah,
But,
I hear you, and I appreciate you guys being here for us
oh,
when we
Oh,
oh,
it's
when we
our
needed
problem,
you.
pleasure.
man.
So
It's our pleasure to do these matches.
yeah,
I'm being kept awake on the fumes of this exciting match.
Same. And my stubbornness.
that's fair. Well, I won't keep you guys too
So
much longer, I guess, since it's pretty late for you guys. So
Well, let me ask
unless
you
you guys
this:
have
like,
some more
did you
questions, I guess.
feel when you saw you had the ooze in that game 5? Did you think you were gonna win it? Did you feel like pretty confident you had that in the bag?
I didn't feel confident until there was a turn where he could have played the weapon to get the whack-a-mole hammer, and he didn't. And then I was like, okay, it's definitely Doomhammer, so I'm in an okay spot.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
so another thing. So I talked about some tech cards earlier. I also saw you had an Lucia in your deck. What was the reason for running a Lucia against those classes?
Same thing. It's more in there for the shaman just to try and make sure that when he has minimal cards that I can take them away from him and not let him burn me down with any burn he might be sitting on, right? If he passes a say, I don't know, turn 6 and he's got a few cards in hand, maybe they're burn that he's sitting on to try and burst me down. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the big one that it was for. Warrior definitely barely does anything ever. Maybe in that game that he was playing, just because he was holding on to some smaller minions there, it might have been useful. But the cards that I had at the time were more impactful for me.
Yeah.
And then in the priest mirror, you just never know what the priest is gonna do. So if you have Lucia and you can see what their hand is, at least you can know what's coming at you in future turns, or maybe even steal something important like a Cthulhu piece.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So
I mean, Lucia ended up not coming up in the priest mirror because you mutinist his
yeah.
Lucia.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, but
I'm not gonna lie. Mutinous,
Mutanus was the
Mutanus?
MVP of this
I don't
entire
know.
series.
Absolutely,
Mutanus won like almost
100%.
I think the only Mutanus, and actually it had huge implications possibly, was Mutanusing your Deathwing against Warrior, because luckily you were able to clear in 1919. because you had so many
Yeah.
Shadow Word Ruins in your hand.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah,
That was
he
kinda
he
scary.
once he conditioned and I had all those Shadow Word Ruins, it wasn't gonna be a good time for the Warrior.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Other
I mean,
all-star Mutanuses though. There was the Mutanus that killed your Death Speaker Blackthorn.
well,
That
that was
was
the
game
game ender.
clinching.
That was the game ender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once
I felt
that card was gone, it was over.
I felt so bad when I saw that.
Yeah.
And same thing for like some of the other stuff. It's just like because like navigating around Paris. I granted like there's some times where there's not quite as much generated stuff, and you're just like trying to think what your opponent has. But yeah, it's really I think that the really interesting part of this series is kind of how the matches went in terms of where the two where your bottom three seeds got the job done in a struggling 2-star Mako who just couldn't necessarily buy a win this season. He had 2 wins coming into this and just to bunker down, get the job done and get that win so massive. And then for Lotus to force game 5 and same for Avi getting those extra points to keep you guys in the match for Saku to sweep and you to get that 3-2. Like
can I actually touch on
Yeah.
the series for a second?
Yeah, of course, man.
We at Blast, and I'm pretty sure I can speak on behalf of everyone here, would like to extend a huge thank you to the whole MPH group and Carvalho. There was a little mishap with Avi. He's been sick, hasn't been feeling great, missed his match time, and Carvalho could have easily taken the 3-0 and put us in a rough spot, but he played it out. And Pasca's known for trying to get his guys to reschedule, and we really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for guys like Carvalho and Pasca and the whole MPH group making this match work.
No, thanks for sharing that. Like, honestly, big shout outs to Carvalho and Pasca and MPH team. Like, they came so close. Like, this is the team that we came into playoffs. It's just like, MPH doesn't win playoff matches. And they had 2 heart-stopping matches. One that goes their way and this one that, unfortunately, the last one doesn't get there. And I know that in this team, I can just see, like, your team is so stacked, and it was so fun. It was so interesting to see this season play out, to see the teams that rose to the top, the 2 bye-week teams meeting in the finals, and having a fantastic slugfest. I mean, just for like, I guess I'll give you the floor for the last words before we close out the season and the night.
Sure. Again, I'd just like to thank you guys first off for making this happen and being on stream and stuff like that. Like I said, thanks to the MPH guys for being helpful and understanding of our situation. And huge shout out to Blast for picking me up mid-season. And shout out to Bunny or RoboCats. Hopefully, whatever reason he had to sit out for, he got it handled. He. Sorry if I got that wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
RoboCats is actually Avi's brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he himself went like 3-1 before he had to step away. So I mean, the 3C for your team went a combined like 2 losses all season, and that is how you win championships.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. Yeah. One more thing I got to shout out, and I hate to do this to Pasca, but sorry for being the guy to end the dream for MPH after the season after leaving MPH.
Oh, I mean, here the seal's broken though. NPH has now won a match in playoffs. So I mean, all they have to do left is just win it.
Yeah. I actually have a request from Lotus. If him and Saku can join the call. and kind of just do a little bit of celebration. If y'all don't mind, I know it's late for us here on the East Coast, but it's also very late for Lotus and Saku, who are pretty much around 2 a.m. So
Oh dear, why not?
sure,
Let's get 'em
we'll
on.
get both of these guys in. And if other guys, generally it's something we don't tend to do, but this is worth it. Like sometimes this happens, but we'll get these two guys in. Saku, Lotus, welcome in, and congratulations on winning Hero Series.
Woo!
Wow, I'm in a
Yeah.
full panic right now.
Me and Lotus at 1:30 Atlantic time, so
Yeah.
12:30 Eastern.
Mhm.
We're up late.
Yeah, you guys are definitely up late, but Lotus asked if you two would be able to come in and do a little celebration for your team. And I
Yeah.
agreed because
You can be loud. I can't because my wife will kill me. So.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You know what they say: happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dogs are looking at me wanting to kill me, but I do not care.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you up at 1:30, bro?
Your dad's a champion.
Way to go, Skittles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Congrats to you too, man. For that huge 3-0 sweep gave us the opportunity to get there, and I'm just glad I was able to pull out the reverse sweep.
Yep.
Seriously.
You were amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone working together on points to all make it to this spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking down to the wire. That's the way we like it, don't we?
Yeah, that's how most of the playoff matches have been this season.
Yeah.
Pretty down to the wire, at least in Wild and Hero, for sure. I think.
Well, Legacy was down to
Yeah,
Fellows.
Legacy. Yeah, Legacy went down
Yeah.
to the game 5, but I think some of the other matches were, I mean, like overall, like the playoffs, but the finals, yeah. 2 of the finals going to all matches, including a game 5, in both Hero and Legacy. Pro and Wild going 4 matches, but being extremely close the entire way, I assume, because those are all some of the best players in the game. So, yeah, I mean, this was an amazing THL season, and just to get capped off by seeing the two of the guys that I work with personally for in content take home a title, see a lot of you guys winning it. It's really cool, from my perspective.
Yeah, and
So-
Lotus and I were just chit-chatting, just saying it's. I think all 3 of us, this is our first championship between Skittles,
It's definitely
myself, and
not.
Lotus.
I would
I-
believe so, but I'm not sure about Skittles.
I captained one
Oh, did you?
with Itachi, Run Mexico.
Oh, you were the captain of 4th and Inches.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was that was Legacy Champs. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
So maybe this is a question you guys can't answer, but I'm certainly interested. What are you guys thinking about for the merch you're gonna get?
Gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ah.
If there's
I
a
love
drum
his-
roll, that was it.
Yeah.
We had a blast. You know.
Yes.
Whatever it is, it'll be awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
C-Mac had a good one. You know, Last Hero Standing. That one was pretty good.
I really like that one. Yeah.
You got to make sure that this championship lasts now.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's been great. Good season.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
had one hell of a run for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This was completely insane.
We'll have
Saku
a
and
proper
Skittles were
celebration.
super OP.
A proper THL celebration.
Yeah. I'm very like.
Which one of you is gonna be the Hingle McCringleberry and do the excessive excessive
Oh my
celebration?
gosh, that
That would
reference.
definitely be
I'm-
Lotus.
But
I have to
Yeah,
make that reference.
I think so, yeah.
It's only fitting.
oh, it's very fitting. I love that reference. So yeah. I guess, because it's getting really late for everybody, especially you two, Saku and Lotus, who came in and get to talk a little bit. I mean, I'll let each of you give some shout outs. Lotus can talk about Family Feud if he likes. Again, it's been a couple of times.
Of course I will.
And Saku, you can give final thoughts as well. And then we'll close out.
Should I go first?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Sure. First of all, I want to shout out Fish, Geranium, and JR for doing this, which it's a long stream, a lot of pre-smears. That is amazing.
I'm amazed that I'm still awake, honestly.
Thank God only
Right?
one pre-snare.
Yeah, really. Oh my god.
That being said, though, you're all insane. I'm so happy with this. I don't even know what to say. Watch Family Feud tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. A lot of the people here are going to be there, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
It should be a good time.
Yeah.
Skittles is on mute, so. You have something to say, Brody?
Nope. Just I've already given my piece,
Yeah.
but you go ahead, Saku.
Skittles gave final shout outs before you all came in.
Yeah, no, it's just appreciate my teammates there and great games by MPH there to make it last straight to game 5 and match number 5. So
Yeah. For sure.
we effing won. There we go.
There you
That's the
go.
close out.
Man. Yeah.
That's it.
There you go. What a great season of THL. A lot of great Hearthstone, deserving champions and worthy adversaries for these teams. We have a couple more shows to put on this season, and then we'll be looking forward to the Stormwind. So on behalf of casters Geranium Battle and JR, thank you guys for sticking through this and having a fantastic cast. Thank you to chat for sticking around. Chat was popping off all night. You guys are all awesome. THL's an amazing place.
Damn straight.
Yep. And
Thank you so much to Dr. Fish for OPing this whole thing. Wow.
Seriously, man.
yeah, I only had one slip up. One slip up. So thank you everybody for bearing with me when I had some slip ups in the pre-smear game. You guys saw most of it at least, say that much. But yeah, it's been a blast this whole season with you all. It's hard to not think of that just being a pun. But we'll close out this season of matches with a thank you to everybody who participated this season and we'll see you all for next season's matches. And yeah, I guess that's it for tonight. We'll have Family Feud tomorrow, Heart Center Tuesday, Tavern Talk Wednesday. And on behalf of everyone, have a fantastic rest of your evening. And stay safe, everybody. And see you tomorrow night.
Take care,
Have a
everybody.
great night.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
Good night.